Hey, yo, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Blockchain Banter, episode 44. What an episode we got lined up today. Don't know what happened there to my voice. It sounded like a sheep, so I'm going to do that again. Welcome to episode 44. There we go. Much better. If anyone's going to clip that, I'm going to fucking hunt you down. Yeah, coming back to it. Good evening, everyone. Before I started sounding like a sheep, it's been a long week and we're here. I've been waiting for this space for a while, and I'm just getting people situated up on stage. We've got none other than Luke. Tonight we're going to be diving into story and getting into his story and getting all of that juice and finding out where, what, and who and why. And also next to me we got Chris. Good evening, bro. I can see that you picked up the mic on my phone. I guess Elon is rugging me today, but glad to see you up here, mate. How are you?
All good, cheers. I don't know whether to bar back at you or not, since we're doing sheep impressions today. Didn't realise we were doing that today, but if we're doing if it's sheep Monday, we'll do sheep Monday. Yeah, no, I'm doing really well. Cheers, man. I'm absolutely knackered, actually, to be honest with you, because of the hour getting pushed forward or back or whatever it is. It's just thrown me right out. So I'm knackered, and we've had a busy day today as well. It's just been working non-stop, but all is good apart from that. And it's even better now that we have blockchain banter and we've got Luke here, which is awesome. And I definitely we are going to be getting into Luke's journey of Kaspa, definitely, but I really want to dive into his new website as well, Casnodes, because that thing is rocking. And yeah, I think I mean, me personally, I'll probably be able to learn a lot from Luke in this session about Casnodes and things like that, because I think it's something that's not really actually spoken about a lot, because everyone just thinks everyone knows how to set nodes up and everything like that, but it's not actually. It's one of these weird little niches that some people just don't understand. Some people would love to run a node, but just don't know how to, and that's fine. Like, nobody knows everything, but what Luke's done with Cas nodes, I think, is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, definitely want to jump into that as well.
It's Chris. I wasn't sure whether that was my cue or not, but yeah. Hey guys, hey Levendi. I'll bar back to you maybe later. I'm not sure, but we'll move on from that little blunder. But yeah, good to be here with you guys this morning. It is nice and early in Sydney. Not sure what time it is where you guys are, but it is Tuesday. So hello from the future. Um, Nice and early, 7 a.m. in the morning, but we'll charge through. I've got a nice big cup of coffee ready to talk maybe about Casper, I think. I don't know. We might touch on it. Not sure if you guys have heard about that project or not, but yeah. Yeah, good to be
Isn't
here, guys.
isn't that a token on Ethereum?
I don't know. I heard about it. I heard about it a couple of times. Something that it's pretty cool. It's got a little cool logo there, some cool things.
Levendi, please leave the space right now. A token on Ethereum, terrible.
Mate, I'm trying to play along, but yeah, if you want to go that direction, we might need to boot him out.
I mean, he does have an Android, so it's only fair that
Here
we
we
do. To
go.
be fair.
Well, yeah, well, Chris, I am an iPhone user, so we might have to
Oh
gang up.
God! I'm gonna just stay on mute for the remainder of the space, I think.
Actually, Levendi, you can't remain on mute because I've been told that you have a new girlfriend.
Oh,
Are you gonna let that fucking? Oh my,
oh,
bro, bro. That's a story for
I
when
thought his
we sit
girlfriend was
around.
Casper.
Yeah, what the token?
She's
The
too.
token on Ethereum.
Yeah,
Look,
it's wrapped Casper on Ethereum. I'm not sure. He likes to live dangerously.
mate.
Oh.
Look, look.
We'll get into that one a bit later, then,
Well,
Levendi, because I don't actually know the
just for
full story.
clarity, yeah. Just for clarity, for everyone listening to this space, what I said was very triggering, but obviously that's not what I believe about Casper token. Come on now, boys. Come on now, boys. I just said that
We'll
to
let
trigger
it
you.
slide, mate. It's all
Yeah,
right.
come
It's all
on.
right.
Secondly, I did not have a new girlfriend, thankfully. I'm not ready for that commitment. Let's put it that way. Now I'm too busy. But it's a fucking story and a half. I've got to say, we've got to have it over a beer.
One of them,
Spicy.
yeah, one of them type of stories. I'm looking forward to it, Levendi. But Luke, really, really good to have you on, man. It's like I said, you've been extremely busy. Like when you launched Cast Nodes, you sort of just on X was like, oh, I've just been doing this sort of side project. Um, have a look, and then it's like this isn't a side project. This is a proper website.
Yeah, it's funny, like I originally started just before, like I had some time before Christmas, right? And I was like, oh, I wanna do something, right? And I started just kind of playing around with a few concepts, and then I did something, and I was like, oh, I'll do it and launch it end of this week. Completely underestimated the scale of what I was trying to achieve, and then also my own sense of what I felt was, like, ready to launch, and that was my problem. I think, like, I'm not a developer, it's not something I'm familiar like, I'm familiar with, elements of it, but I'm not someone who's launched anything, and so when I was sort of creating it or putting it together, I kind of was like, "Oh, it's not ready. It needs more, it needs this, it needs that," and then I became my own biggest enemy, and I'm like, I kept holding off on, like, adding little bits and then doing little bits, and that's why I'm like, I kind of after sort of spending so much time head down into something, you kind of, like, get to a point where you just kinda need to send it and just go, "Alright, cool, I need some feedback to motivate me to keep going here." And that was the result of the other day, me just going, Screw it. I'm just gonna launch it in its state right now. It's not finished. Hopefully some people value it and hopefully it sort of helps. And I just wanted to mention, like, your point earlier that you mentioned was I kind of saw a little bit of a gap in the community because you kind of spot on, like, everyone knows about mining, right? Everyone understands what mining is. Well, to at like a conceptual level, right? They may not have deep understanding, but if you're in the Casper community, you're probably quite aware of the fact that miners are the lifeblood of the project, right? But you don't really think about, like, what's going on with the nodes. Like, who's running the nodes? How do I run a node? Where are the nodes? That sort of thing. And so I kind of felt like it was something that I personally wanted to see because I really wanted to see like the trends amongst, migrating between different versions, and what are the versions out there, and what are the like geographic locations of them. And so yeah, I just felt like it was something that I personally wanted, and thought maybe some other people want it too. So yeah, it's still beta. It's not I've been a lot more motivated since seeing some of the responses and some of the lovely donors who have reached out. Huge shout out to every single one of them. It's quite a amazing thing to think of something, put it out there, and then have some people out there value it enough that they want to send you their hard-earned cash, right? So yeah, it's a great feeling. But yeah, it's kind of a little bit of the background, I suppose. And just a quick mention, I just noticed our first version 1 node appear on my crawler. So like the back end of the actual project has this kind of element that crawls throughout all the different nodes out there on the network, and sort of takes stock of what's there and where it is and all that sort of stuff. And so as of a couple of hours ago, the first version 1.0.0 node has appeared, at least as far as my crawler can see, and CAS nodes can see. So exciting stuff there.
I mean, it's a really, really good website. I'm on it now, and yeah, like I take it you're grabbing all of these things via an API. Did you set the API up yourself?
Yeah, I mean, there is an API. Essentially, the entirety of everything that relates to CAS nodes, I have created myself. So the only code that I've not written would be, what would it be? There's some plugins, maybe, I suppose. Not really plugins, I suppose, but little elements of it. But even the crawler, I actually took inspiration from the existing crawler that was out there, that is fantastic. And I'll probably mention what a crawler is in a second, but essentially I took some inspiration from the existing repository, and that was where my kind of journey of trying to learn started, because I essentially wanted to understand what is this thing doing, and went into a deep dive of actually recreating my own crawler completely from scratch, that had no shared code with anything else. And so that was where my discovery started, and I started playing around with that, and I'm like, well, this is really fascinating, like seeing the way that, it in a decentralized network, there's no real way, and it's by intention, to have a full view of every node out there, right? It's intentionally obfuscated, and not made clear to be able to just go pull a report and say, hey, where is every node? How many nodes are out there? Because you don't want that. That's not like you obviously want them to be able to communicate in a peer-to-peer nature, but you don't want to just like pull a report and say every single node is here, right? And so the way that the crawler works, which is essentially the essence of what CAS nodes is essentially it it starts by connecting to one node, and usually it's a node that's like a seeder, which is one that has kind of a lot of IP addresses on it. It obtains all of the addresses out there that it's aware of, because each node keeps its own little repository of what am I aware of that's out there in the world? How many people have I spoken to? People being nodes. And then it sort of polls each node until it reaches a point where it thinks it's gotten all of them. And then it goes out to each different address of that list. And it kind of spreads out. And that's why it's kind of the concept of a crawler. It's kind of similar to in Web2 world, where you have like the Google sort of crawler, which goes out there and finds all the addresses, right? It starts at one, it goes to another, it gets 20 new addresses that it wants to check, and then it kind of spreads out from there. So yeah, long story short was the entirety of the actual thing is completely built by me. I have taken inspiration though from an amazing repository that's out there, which is I cannot remember the original originator of it, but I believe a lot of the other websites, like the maps that are showing visuals, are utilizing that. So anyway, no real purpose that I recreated it or created my own, other than I wanted to learn. But I did it, and so yeah, it's been fun.
It's honestly, it's so good, Luke. It's brilliant. And like you were saying, like running your own node is so important. And this is
Yeah.
something that I never even realised, like when I first got into Casper, even I didn't realise how important it was to actually run your own node, and that you could actually mine to your own node. It makes perfect sense. And I remember, I think Coder of Stuff wrote fairly recently about how he's excited about Crescendo because he really wants to see more solo mining. He doesn't want to see, or I know it's slightly different, but he wants people to mine to their own public,
Yeah.
to their own nodes. Because again, it really does help with decentralization, and this is what we want for a proof of work to be as decentralized as possible. So I think what you've set up here is really, really good, especially for people like me that aren't overly tech savvy. It really does help. And I've noticed as well, like I know it's not completely live yet to like globally, but you can actually buy a node and you'll send it out ready to
Yeah.
work.
I think the concept is that I want this to be like I can only imagine. I don't know if I'll succeed or not, who knows? But my intention is that I just really want it to be like like a central location for everything that you need to know. It's like first of all, you can come in and go, what is a node? As someone who has no idea what it is, right? Visually see, oh wow, there's all these, people that have chosen to run this around the world. Like, why are they doing that? Then you get educated on why they do that. Then you look at, wow, okay, well, maybe I want to create my own, right? And so if you're inclined and you have the time and the know-how, you can maybe leverage a guide, right? And right now I have some amazing guides on there. There's a video that I always love to reference from Kaspa Silver, who shows a really set up a really simple guide there. But I intend to kind of grow and add more to those there. And so, people will be able to see, they'll go, okay, maybe I want to have a try. And then ultimately, if perhaps it is a little bit too technical for them, or you're the type of person that has limited time, but want to support, then you can just jump in and buy a note, right? And so I want to make it at all levels. For people who want the guide will be free. For people who want to pay for the benefit to be able to just kind of get something plug and play, then yeah, it'll be there as well. And so like this kind of concept exists in a lot of other communities. I've taken a lot of inspiration from what occurs in the Bitcoin community. The site as well, I have to pay homage. There's a Bitcoin version out there, arguably not as beautiful as how I've created my site. I think I probably am a little bit biased there, but there is a version out there for Bitcoin. I think it's called Bit Nodes. You can see where I'm going with the inspiration there with the name. But I think they've tried to do the same thing. Obviously, they've had a lot more time, energy, and skills and know-hows to be able to kind of create what they're doing there. But I drew inspiration from that, and ultimately, if I can bring in one more person, like that's what I consider a win to run a node or get involved, and I think it's well worth my time. So yeah.
I love that as well. How you, like you said, you've drawn inspiration from bit nodes, but
Yeah.
it's sort of like in real life anyway with Bitcoin and Casper. Like Bitcoin came first, but Casper always does it better, and this is exactly what Cas nodes does. It does it better than bit nodes.
I'll take that as a compliment. But yeah, I'll try. I can only aspire to be as resource amazing as BitNodes. So yeah, it's a lovely site. Definitely drawing some inspiration there and but putting my own flair on it and ultimately just trying to make it accessible. Like I think that there's so much amazing tech in the Casper community, and so many amazing developers out there who create it, but maybe sometimes they need a vehicle to be able to kind of easily explain it or easily display it to the community because you have this real you have the two sides. You have the really technical people who get it straight away, and then you have the non-technical people who are wondering why are the technical people getting it so straight away, like what is it that they're getting, and maybe it's just not accessible for them. So that's why I suppose, yeah, trying to do my bit, make it as accessible as possible and hopefully educating a couple of people along the way, including myself. So yeah, it's fun.
It's awesome, and like you said before, like there's been a lot of positive feedback for Cas nodes already, and like sorry, how long was it live for? How long has it been live for? It's not been long at all, is it?
Oh, I mean, I posted about it, probably, what was it, like, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I think it was, it's been up. Um, but it's been running for probably a couple months now, I just haven't shared it with anyone really. Just been really, like, looking at it and going, what should I do? Maybe I just can it." But yeah, no.
You kept
Been
it all
fun.
to yourself. You nearly done a
Uh,
Youngton where you didn't actually launch it. You had
you
to
know,
talk yourself into it.
it's funny. Coda actually said something similar to me about that the other day. He mentioned something like that. And it made me laugh because I was like, "Look, I can only aspire to be a percent of some of the amazing developers out there." And I kind of had mentioned to him a couple of things about how I was facing, I don't know, you feel a bit self-conscious, right? Something you worked on, and he was like, "Yeah, it's funny, you've it's a similar type of experience, but yeah." Cool.
Well, I bet you're glad you've done it now, though, because like you said, you got the feedback from the community, and so far, from what I've seen anyway from your posts, is the feedback has been fantastic. A lot
Yeah.
of people really do value this, and it, like you said, it's quite a niche thing that I suppose not a lot of people have thought about, but it's something that definitely needs to be out there. And you've done it. You've filled that gap, and it's fantastic. Um,
I think it's a bit of fun. I'm trying to embody the whole experience of, if you want to see something, you got to go do it yourself. And so I just kind of got out there and learned a few skills along the way, or at least tried to. And yeah, had fun doing it. So can't complain.
But that's a really important point as well, isn't it? Because I always try to tell people that listen to blockchain banter, if you have a skill, like you don't have to be a coder, or you don't have to be technical with Kaspa to be able to promote it, or to like you've got a skill set. Everyone's got their own skill set. It's finding what that is and then being able to utilize that to boost Kaspa or Kaspa's ecosystem in some way.
Mm.
And that's exactly what you've done. You like you said, and you've learned along the way, which is awesome. And I think that should be an inspiration to a lot of people as well. They like do stuff. Don't think too much. Just do.
I think like this year is the year where the excuse of not being able to do things really is becoming quite difficult to continue with, right? Like, and the reason why I say that is because with the rise in like AI related tooling, there really is no excuse anymore for anyone who has an idea and wants to build something, you literally got sites out there that exist that you can literally either take a screenshot of something that you like and say, I want to do this, this, and this. If you're just like a visual person, you could take a screenshot of something, a website, an app, whatever, put it into some sort of, site like v0.dev or Lovable or one of these sort of variants, and it will literally build you everything. And you could be launching an app in days. Now, obviously there's a lot more to it, but the fact that, the barrier for entry is no longer sitting in a dark room typing lines of code and thinking that you're a hacker. Like it's no longer that anymore. Like you could get out there, you can try things and ultimately learn things as well. So yeah, I just don't think there's really much of an excuse anymore. 2025, get out there if you've got an idea, if you've got something you want to build on Casper, now is the best time to really start owning those skills, not even just about like Cas nodes or building something like that with all the kind of upcoming features and ability to kind of build on top of Casper. You'd have to be kind of crazy as a developer not to be considering what you could do with it. So yeah, definitely get out there.
You sound like Ashton with the you sort of don't have an excuse anymore, because he
Ash?
often says to me, dude, like you can literally code if you want to, like even if you've never coded you can code. But
Yeah,
go to this website and do this, and
y-
but even the stuff he's given me, the lines of code or the prompts he's given me, I don't even understand them. I'm like, Ashton, you
mate.
got to remember, man, I'm a builder. I'm like,
Yeah, but you're a builder. You could be a builder in the ecosystem as well, mate. There you go. You've already got the name. You'd be building out the job site, and you could be building in the Casper ecosystem, my friend. you know, and if you don't understand what the code means, you put it into another chat GPT and go, what does this code mean? So there you go. The only limiting factor is yourself, my friend. And
Get
that's,
him, Luke.
suppose, the same for anyone.
Get him. Peer pressure against Chris, everybody.
Yeah. Chris, when are you launching? When are you launching, mate? What are you launching?
Yeah, when Chris Hutch. Yeah,
Hey.
honestly, because obviously being in the crypto space, when I tell people I'm a builder, they're like, "Oh, right, so like, do you do full stack or blah blah?" I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I just put bricks on top of each other. Um, but like you said, I don't really have an excuse anymore. I am just lazy. I get it, you two. I get it.
Everyone commits some time and energy, and it's all valuable, my friend. Nobody lazy. You are one of the hardest working people I know. You know, talking about sharing a passion about Caspo. It's not everyone has their own strengths and what they're interested in. But I can only hope that we'll one day see you into the builder domain as a developer as well. You know.
You know what? I would if I had time. It's always a bloody time thing. If I had time, it is something I would love to sit down and just get my head around. But I genuinely just don't have the time to allocate to it at the moment. One
Oh yeah.
day I will. I promise you. I'll do something. I'll make like a snake video game or something. Um,
Yeah, or you could just tell Ashton or I or anyone else, hey, I've got this idea, and we'll just go build it for you, and we'll give you some some props. Go, this is the Chris Hutch experience. We're just bringing it to life.
love it. Yeah, just a bit of delegation. That's perfect.
Yeah,
I
go build.
normally do that with Ashton anyway, and he fucking hates me for it. So no, I'm
Hey,
joking.
hey, hey, I don't hate you for it.
I don't think Ashton could hate a single person in this world. He's the most nicest person I think I've probably ever met. So I don't think that's possible.
Damn, that's nice. Cool. You got
Yeah,
to
no.
talk to my wife, man. I want her to hear those words.
Yeah, get her on the phone. Bring her in here. We'll chat to her. We'll sort her out. Don't worry.
I'll leave that one to you, Luke. I've heard about her.
All right, and on that cue, we'll move forward from there.
I'm only joking, Ashton. You know I love you, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's mutual 100%. But in a kind of slight effort to get back to what Luke was saying, I got a question for you, Luke, if you don't mind, about your
Yeah, man.
node sales.
Yeah.
You're they're basically like small PCs that you've set up to be turnkey cast nodes.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the intention. Again, drawing inspiration from the Bitcoin community, right? There's people, lovely sellers out there who essentially are finding hardware, which I have to be fully transparent. Anyone can go do, right? So like full transparency, anyone can go find the hardware, and I'll probably provide details on it if you want to do it yourself. But for those that are short on time, like Chris maybe, and would like to just buy something, maybe Chris, maybe not Chris, who knows? Then they can essentially just buy something, which would be it's like a mini computer, and the intention there, or the secret sauce would be, you know, how the computer's set up, and so that's what I'm trying to really sort of finalize right now is the software side of it. Obviously, the node itself is built, right? Anyone could just go run that software, but I'm trying to work out a way that would be minimal in minimal and easy to run, right? And it's kind of a little bit kind of there's nuance to that, right? So like I come from an IT background, right? And so whenever we would build a solution for a customer or whoever, right? You don't just think about what the solution is right now. You think about what is the maintenance for it, what is the future like hold with updates. Like you have to keep it as simple as possible. So there's this kind of acronym that exists in the computer world. Keep it simple, stupid, and so my intention here is try and keep it as simple as possible, but make it as easy to run, right? So, you know, obviously I could just grab any small computer, put Windows on it, and put the Node software. But like, what happens when Windows shits itself? When an update applies, and people are like, "Well, now I've got this thing that I don't know how to actually use when it's running." And Luke said it was plug and play, and it's not working. So it's like, all right, let's try and find a solution that is as simple as possible with as minimal amount of maintenance, and ideally make it as easy so that anyone can essentially run it. So yeah, not sure the long-winded answer, Ashton, but yeah, that's kind of the background of it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, and I think it's a fantastic effort. And it actually aligns really well with some feedback and idea. I want to give this person credit, but I can't remember who it was. It was Chris and Levendi. It was on the KDAO AMA that we did last. But someone suggested basically selling turnkey nodes like this that have
Yeah,
the stratum for solo mining embedded
yeah.
as well on this. And then just partnering with Ice River and essentially selling these nodes with the smallest home miner so that an individual legitimately is just turnkey. In terms of
So
your maintenance thing, it seems like Aspect's K-host platform would be like the great starting point because all of that is already kind of embedded for automatic updates.
yeah, I think that's definitely one way of doing it. I think that would be a fantastic sort of approach there. It's something I'm actually kind of playing around with at the moment. It's just the mostly it's like my time is kind of R&D at the moment. It's like build it, play with it, run it, and then like break it, really. What can I do to, keep this as simple as possible? But 100% agree. And actually right now I've already like it's funny, there is without getting super technical on you all, but there's kind of like a little operating system that I play around with that I think is really easy for people to sort of, just get a node on with very minimal effort. I'm actually going to release a video probably today or tomorrow, just with a quick guide, an under 5 minute setup guide of a node, right? But essentially, it's a front end for Docker, right? For any technical people out there, it's called Umbrel, right? It is free. There's a paid version, I think, of it or whatever. But essentially, it's like simple. You click update and it updates the node. And so for an entry level person, all they have to do is plug it in. So and that actually I've already created or repackaged. Sorry, not created is the wrong word because essentially I'm taking the amazing repositories that already exist out there, like the Stratum Bridge. And the Node software and packaging, so it can be easily downloadable with that software. It's a little bit technical. Hopefully my video when I release it in a day or two will kind of explain that a bit more though.
Sounds like a fantastic solution because that it's basically, I imagine, just a simple graphical interface for running the or updating, managing the Docker containers, and you can
100%, yeah.
handle all of that maintenance with Docker. It's brilliant.
I love Docker. I love containerizing everything. Probably without real reason to do so. My life feels like it's just me containerizing with Docker and then managing it with Portainer. But essentially, it's essentially that it's a Linux operating system running Docker, and then as Docker has compatibility with any Docker container, the ability for it to have a very slick front end that anyone could use. So you could jump onto your phone and anyway, I'm not shilling their product, but it is one of many options and one that I actually already created a repo, so you can literally go right now, jump on there and play around with it. So might share that later on. So yeah, that is available right now. So but yeah,
Nice work, Luke. That's cool.
thanks, man.
Like with the node as well, the like your guide to setting one up. See what because I can't remember who said it, but they it's something that's so obvious, but it's it's sort of not obvious if you didn't think about it, if you know what I mean. It's like so the nodes that you set up, like even like a Raspberry Pi or something like that, they're
Yeah,
brilliant because you just plug them in and that's it. You just leave them running. Because some people are saying, oh well, we'll run it on a laptop or on my nodes on
yeah,
a laptop or anything like that. But then I can't remember who said it, but they were saying, but are you going to be leaving your laptop on all the time? Because if you're not, then you're sort of defeating the object of having a node, especially if you're sort of mining to that node, because you need it running all the time. So actually, these little nodes that you're talking about are like purpose built node for Kaspa is yeah, such a good idea. And again, it's that it's the little things like that that maybe people that aren't technical wouldn't think about.
yeah. I think it's a good like I think for people that are literally going and finding their laptop and installing it on it, it's an amazing first step. Like the friction point there has been broken. Like they've literally jumped in, realized how easy it is. They put it on their laptop. So all I'll say to those people out there is amazing, amazing first step. But yeah, you're spot on, Chris. And I think I probably have said that to a couple of people now. But you know, the point of it is to run it 24/7. It's not a kind of on demand thing. Although you could literally do that. Like you could have it. You could, you know, have your wallet there as well, and then you know every single time you want to interact with your own wallet, you could, you know, spin up your node, let it sync for an hour, couple hours, however long, depending on the power of your machine, and then you would interact directly with the network without having any intermediary. But that's not really the point of running a node. The point of running a node is it's you know, meant to be there 24/7 supporting the network, right? And you know, whether that's through as being a public node or a private node, I think that's also something that needs to be talked about a little bit more in the community, specifically the Casper community, because there seems to be a bit of a lack of understanding of, you know, yeah, I've created a node, and I'm all done, but no, no, sorry, you actually have to consider, do you want to make it? That's it. You've set up the node, like you've done it, right? So all I say to those people is, have a look around your house, see what old hardware you've got. You know, if you've got an old laptop, with some of the minimum specs that are required, which arguably are the lowest in the crypto industry for running a node, right? And just bang it on there and plug it in, leave it running, and support the network.
Awesome. I can see CryptoPumpz has got his hand up. Go ahead.
Good, mate. How are you? Yeah. So I think right now the Raspberry Pi has definitely been able to support the standard Casper node. But even right now, with the move to 10 blocks per second, the minimum requirements are notching up just a little bit more. So like, so with the node, you could have gotten away with potentially running it on, like, even in the early days, like 4 gigs of RAM, quad core processor, which is pretty much any Raspberry Pi in the last couple of years. But we're slowly getting a little bit more requirement there, which is completely understandable, as you know, the throughput is increasing, and all the sort of specifications around it. But to answer your question, I would be looking for something just a little bit more beefy. Raspberry Pi has a variant. I think it's a Raspberry Pi 5 with, I think there's a 16 gig version. But the only thing is, once you look at the pricing for that, when I say 16 gig, I'm talking about the RAM on it. But when you look at the pricing on that, you can actually pick up like a mini computer for a little bit more, actually for less, but you get more. And so like the Raspberry Pi is an amazing platform, but its intention is to be like a builder platform where people can, you know, plug in wires and have IO that, you know, goes out to amazing other little, you know, sensors and stuff like that, right? But because of its price, it's been really accessible. But now we're slightly getting a little bit more resource usage, and you're up in the, you know, maybe 150, but 250 USD mark. And it just starts thinking, well, yeah, have a look at older laptops, older mini PCs. There's a whole sub section of, like, on Amazon. If you type in like mini PC, you can find ones that are, you know, the same price or cheaper, that are doing more. So I hope to release a little bit more of information on it on CAS nodes, or even a guide. But I would just say, if your intention is that you want to run a couple of different things, Raspberry Pi is going to be not probably the best platform for that. So yeah, awesome. That's awesome, man. You've just got it running, but you've forgotten what the password is. So no, good on you.
It will be running forever. He done it on purpose.
Yeah, I think he set the password as CryptoPumpz1.
Yeah. Yeah, funny story actually. It was cryptopumpz who basically got me my first KS0 Ultra. He was buying one and he said, "Look, there's this marketplace. Did you want to buy one as well?" And I was like, "Oh, bloody hell, that's awesome!" So he was the actual person who got me into mining, technically. Yeah, he might have been, yeah. I prefer him. He's funnier. No.
Are you sure that you got what mine? Did you send you like what is it really a KS0? What is it? What have you got there, mate? You got some random one.
I don't know. It's probably mining direct to his wallet. But no, I've still got it. I've still got my little KS0 Ultra pumping away, and it still hits blocks. It's insane. Like
That's awesome.
not all the time, obviously, but like I'll log into my wallet and I'm like, bloody hell, it's actually hit another one. I don't expect it to really hit anything, and that's us still at 1 block per second. I mean, when we get to 10 blocks per second, yeah, I'm quite looking forward to seeing if I do get an uptick in blocks after 10 blocks per second.
10 times more blocks per day. You most probably will, definitely.
It's gonna be awesome, man. Levendi's hit me up in the back end. He's having a go at me because we've got questions coming in, and that's a good point as well. Everybody, if you do have questions, please come up and raise your hand. You can ask your question directly or put them in the chat. But I have noticed a question, or it's not a question; it's more of a statement from Coder of Stuff, and he says, "Chris Hutch, pick something to build. If you get stuck on anything, ping me," which is like from Coder of Stuff. That is awesome. So I'm thinking about building 100 blocks per second on Kaspa, and I'm already stuck. So I'll ping you later and see if you can give me a hand on it. Right. So, but we do actually have a question. It's more of again statement. Cash Ching says, "I want to buy a node, preferable a plug and play one." So that lines up perfectly with what you were saying, Luke. I mean, there's definitely a demand for people that want the sort of plug and play thing, 100%. So yeah, there's definitely a demand for it.
Fantastic. Hopefully, either myself or someone can help you out, and you'll be able to sort of buy that and yeah, plug it in. Awesome.
Awesome. We got another question. Luke, stupid question, which there is no stupid questions. Could you explain how upgrading nodes, let's say KNG, to the most recent version works? I haven't seen something touching that spot so far.
Yeah, all right. Look, I mean, there's Kaspa NG is a tool that has the Caspad sort of node software in it, right? And so within it, I believe it's still running version, and Coda or someone else can probably correct me, but I believe the Kaspa NG software is still running 0.15 or 0.16. Not 100% sure. But essentially, to answer the question, for Kaspa NG, it would literally be a matter of going to the repository or Anton's site and clicking download on the newest version, and then just opening it up, and you'll have it right there. And it's as simple as that. Like there's not a it's not complicated stuff, right? Obviously, you open it up, you got to let it sync, make sure it's fully synced there, and then you're up and running. You wouldn't run both of them at the same time, but you would literally just close the old version, open up the new version, and I'm oversimplifying it here, of course, but that's the essence of it, really. And the same thing goes for any of the other node software. Like I mean, the thing is, if you're technical enough to either compile your own version of the node software or run it in a container, then you don't need me to be telling you how to update it. But for those that are probably using Kaspa NG, that's it, really. Just download the latest version and run it. But I will mention, though, I don't think Anton has released a Kaspa NG version that has version 17 or even version 1 on it right now. But I'm imagining that will be coming very, very soon. So just watch that space.
Awesome. Cheers, Luke. And we've got a question from STB. He's got his.
Yeah, sorry, but I have some questions for. I was late, but I have some questions, but I'm still preparing. Can I re-enter the chat in 5 minutes so I can prepare my questions better? Sorry.
No, you have
No
to do
problem.
them now on the spot.
Yeah.
Give me 5 minutes. I want to be clear because otherwise
You
I
must
will.
ask now or forever hold your peace.
Sorry, but
Yeah.
I thought I was ready, but then a few things came up to mind.
We're
It's
taking the
fine,
piece,
bro.
mate. It's all
Yeah, it's
good. It's all
fine.
good.
You can
Sorry,
drop
sorry,
down
sorry.
and we'll get you back up. No
Sorry, yeah,
problem.
thank you. Sorry.
Unacceptable, man. What's going on,
Yeah,
man?
I know. I had a heavy day, so no, but I was I've had everything written down, but then a few other because okay, I do know a little bit about nodes, but actually I need so much more information. So I will try to have it clear and sound, but give me 5 minutes, and then I hope you don't mind that I ask a few questions to you, Luke.
Yeah, that's no worries, man. No worries at all.
Okay.
And like again, Luke, it does seem that, like I said, you filled a gap there because, like you said, people know about nodes, they hear about nodes, but there's quite a lot to go into them to actually understand them for someone who's maybe not technically minded or doesn't isn't in this world too much or in this space too much. So yeah, you've definitely you've opened up sort of a whole new conversation that people are happy to talk about now, which is awesome.
We're literally the fact that we're having this conversation right now and we're talking about nodes is fantastic. So yeah, definitely. I'm trying to see that as a real win for something that I'm trying to do. Yeah.
You'll be known as the node guy, Luke, the node
Node
guy.
man. And as you said, filling a hole. So yeah, the node man filling holes in the community.
What a title! Oh, I love it, man.
It's been appointed by the one and only Chris Hutch, so it's an honor, my friend.
Yeah, that's legit. That's total legitness.
I'm sure there's a Kit Kat Club joke somewhere in there.
Oh God!
I was
don't
waiting for
start
Wolfie to mention something about that, but anyway, it's all good.
that. He's been quiet. I think he's eating his Kit Kats right now. That's why.
I think he's building a
Yes,
node
eating.
right now.
I wish. I was actually eating a cookie. So I had to go get some cookies with my son. He was telling me, and we were in the kitchen. So no Kit Kats tonight, just cookies.
Oh, you ditched the Kit Kats. Gutted.
No, I didn't. I just didn't have any.
Fair enough. Yeah.
If
Are
you have
you
a Kit
running
Kat,
any
then you
nodes,
eat it.
Wolf?
Sorry, say again.
Are you running any nodes?
No, but I tried it. So when you convinced me to change my whole life towards Kaspa, when you came to drink some beers with me, I tried an experiment on my desktop computer. I downloaded the node and I ran it, and then I just stopped running it at some stage. But yeah, that's the
Yeah, I
extent of
remember
it.
you reached out to me, Wolfie,
Yes.
and I was
Yeah.
very, very happy to see you take the initiative there, and it's something that anyone can do, even if you
Yeah.
have a Kit Kat or not,
I do run Cas miners in Wolfies. So
There you go.
if you can argue that Wolfies is completely circular in that
I
sense
feel
because
like
it's got
if you're
miners.
if you're gonna run a miner, then you should definitely consider running a node as well.
Okay, you've
Go
convinced
hand in
me.
hand.
Okay.
It wasn't hard, but yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, I think it was one of the spaces you were on previously where you were talking about it. And I had an idea in my head that probably every single business in the world should have a node being ran in the back end of the business because that ultimately secures the whole thing from manipulation ever. So yeah, I'm very prone to do that. So I'll definitely switch them to single nodes Why
Yeah,
not?
I think the concept of like if you were to build something in the Kaspa ecosystem as a business, right, then it would definitely make sense to potentially run your own node and then mine your own transactions, right, in the future, whereby you're investing money as a business into the ecosystem, just like you would in a Web2 world. You might have servers that support your infrastructure, then you would potentially have servers that support the infrastructure that is Casper, right? So yeah, it's something that I imagine all the time. Well, someone needs a Kit Kat.
Yeah, it's my son. He gets excited. This is when the GHD gets in, it goes like this until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. But yeah, I was thinking that's pretty. I didn't even know you can mine your own transactions. That's pretty interesting because I never
Well, I
even
mean,
thought about it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's not like you're specifically saying you're doing your transactions, but like if you have your node, right, and you're making transactions, then you can cut out any intermediary by you literally going direct to your own node, then not having to rely on any third party to do anything. You are directly interacting with the network. And for example, if you are mining and providing resources there to support the network in addition to your node with your miners, then you're potentially getting your own transaction fees back into your pocket, right? So yeah, it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's an interesting way to explain it to people also, because most people's understanding of crypto, they don't really grasp that you're actually taking the power away from the man, and you have to do that by building the infrastructure effectively for it, or hosting it, or participating in it. So it's very cool.
Definitely.
And is it true that if you run your own node and you're obviously pointing your miner to that node, you have more chance of hitting a block? Is that correct, or is that just bullshit?
I look. I think ultimately, it's not a more well. I mean, there's nuance to this, right? So, for example, if you are mining to a stratum bridge, because you got to understand that you don't when you mine, you are mining through a bridge, right? And so your miner can't directly interact with the node itself. But you go through that bridge, and the bridge is literally just a piece of software that sits in front of the node, right? So in if you were to run a local node, then you run the node, you run a little piece of software called the Stratum bridge, and then you have your miner. Your miner connects to the bridge connects to the node. Now, what you may have is a situation whereby if you're mining to like a pool or a pool that has a solo option, there is latency. And latency is literally the time it takes for the packet to travel from your miner out onto the internet across the world to wherever the Stratum bridge ultimately is located, and by extension, the node that sits behind it. So if you have a situation whereby you are mining to a node slash Stratum bridge that is quite, literally geographically far away from you, because ultimately the packets have to travel down often like a fiber optic cable, and it's literally the speed of light, but that does have some slight millisecond delays. But if you have a delay to mining, then you may miss a potential block just because your miner is not actually getting there in time, right? So as we all know, though, like if you have in Casper, there's no sort of orphan block. So if you do miss it, you may not get the actual payout, but you're still providing benefit. But that is a concept, right? So if you're mining to an external server that's out on the internet and it has high latency, then you may have a lower chance. And we're talking. You're kind of splitting hairs here when you get to this point, but I mean, if you're a miner, you still want to optimize as best as possible. But if you're in that situation, then, yeah, technically having your own node locally, having your own Stratum bridge, but there is even nuance to that. Like if your internet connection at home is crap, like if you're running off a dial-up modem, which no one would be, but if you're running off an internet connection that's terrible and you're mining through that internet connection, then no matter what you do, you're still going to be having a tough time. But yeah, it's not like a simple answer. Like if you say Yeah, I solo mine and I get a higher chance of hitting a block. Well, it's not necessarily just that. It's more about all of the um, peripheral elements to it, your internet connection, your setup, your local network, the connection that you have, your ISP. Maybe you have maybe their backhaul back to the main data center that connects you back to the rest of the world has too much contention and there's too many people. Maybe anyway, you get into really splitting hairs. I don't know if I really answered your question because I feel like it's a tough thing. I do say that you are more in control of your own destiny, I suppose, if you have control of the node, the Stratum bridge, and you're aware that your internet connection is strong enough to support you having a great connection to the rest of the network. Then yes, there is probably a very minuscule but higher chance of you hitting a block. But we're splitting hairs at that point.
No, I mean that answered it perfectly. And it does make sense, like you said, as long as you've got like a really strong internet connection or a very good one anyway, and you're literally mining through via the Stratum to your personal node.
Yeah.
You're beating latency really.
Yeah, I think latency is the biggest thing. It's not about like there's a higher chance. It's not like you run the node software and there's some algorithm that says, hey, that guy's running a node on his own network and he's mining to it, so he gets a higher chance. It's not about that. It's more about the latency and the speed in which you can connect to the rest of the network. And that's why, no matter what you're doing, if you're solo mining, pool mining, whatever, the biggest thing that you need to be checking is making sure that the server that you're connecting to has a high speed back to you, and that's latency, right? And like anyone who's familiar with the concept of playing like an online game or something, if you jump onto a Counter-Strike server and your ping is too high, then you're like literally just like stuttering around and you can't hit the target, right? The same sort of concept occurs in the kind of node world, right? If your latency is too high, then you're a little bit behind the ball, and there's still probably a chance that you hit a block, but even if you did hit a block potentially, it may not actually pay out because your node is a little bit behind on the speed. So yeah, nuance to it. I'm probably butchering the explanation, but yeah, my simple way of explaining it. Simple.
No, I mean it's perfect explanation. And like because I'm from obviously the dial-up days as well, and I remember the latency really bad when you were just sitting at your mum's computer, and like looking at some porn, and then it was just like loading frame by frame, and you're thinking, please get to the boobs, please get to the boobs. Yeah, I know all about latency, man. I hated it.
Chris.
I
Oh
know we
god.
went
The,
there. We
the
went there.
the ultimate edge. You're just sitting there waiting on dial-up and then your mum picks up the phone and you only get half the pick. So yeah, I know. I've been there.
The pain is real. Yeah. Right, we got some more questions up in the jumbotron, so we'll get through them. Does a node need different hardware than mining CAS?
Yeah, so I mean, to mine Kaspa right now, you need an ASIC, right? And so an ASIC is essentially a piece of hardware that is dedicated to doing one thing, and it is mining Kaspa. Now, a node is literally a nice way of just saying a computer of any sort of description that is running the Kaspa node software and has been left on 24/7. So like when we say node, you're essentially just saying a category of anything. It could be a single board computer like a Raspberry Pi, it could be an old laptop, it could be a MacBook, it could be Windows, Linux, anything really. So yeah. But no, to answer your question, they are completely separate because a node is more of like just like a standard computer, and an ASIC is like a set of chips that have been designed to do one thing, and that's run the K-heavy hash algorithm, and they don't sort of overlap in their functions.
Awesome, thank you for that. And we have another one. Hi guys, I'm already running a node with KNG on main PC. Will invest in a mini PC, Geekom, to run the hard fork and plugging my miners on it 24/7. Is that a good way? Is it the good way?
You forgot the end of the end of that question. No, to answer, Pappy, Pappy, I don't know if that's right. Pappy Nacho, maybe he's anyway. To answer your question, yeah. Look, any software, any hardware, will run the software, right? But it is a matter of the resources that that hardware has. So I'm kind of suggesting, and sort of in line with what Coder of Stuff has put in his recent post or GitHub repository about the 10 blocks per second testing is um, ideally a quad core, but probably maybe like a 6 core or 8 core CPU, which it does sound like it's kind of crazy powerful, but really any machine in the last 5 years has had that. Something with 8 to 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage space. Ideally an SSD, because during the initial block download, there is quite a lot of writing IO on the hard drive, which could mean that if it is a very slow old drive that you've had for the last 20 years, it may struggle to write all the data there. But the specs that I'm talking about there are not they're not high spec. Like you're not talking about like a rocket that we need to send to the moon. It's literally just probably resources that are in most machines nowadays. But yeah, just something to mention.
Awesome. I've just seen Crypto J's just put something up saying, I think Chris is still rocking Windows ME or N10. N10. Will he be able to run a node on that? Well,
I think he. You think you probably got some bigger problems, mate.
Yeah. Oh,
No wonder you're still trying to run dial-up and download pictures. You probably are currently infected with about 600 different viruses and 600 different hackers that are currently on the back end, as you and Levendi like to call it, of the machine hacking away. So yeah, probably not.
Mate, there's nothing wrong with downloading X through LimeWire, man. Absolutely nothing wrong.
Mate, that's taking me back the old LimeWire days. And look, I
good old
mentioned
days.
that's peer to peer, man. So when we're talking about nodes, if you've ever used LimeWire or if you've ever used anything like that, that's the sort of essence of what we're talking about here. It's peer to peer technology, right? And that's the back end of now I'm just saying it repeatedly, back end. But that's the back end of crypto, specifically Kaspa and the way sort of the nodes interact. It's like a web of connections, inbound and outbound, that are sharing things around the world. The only difference is we're not sharing pictures or videos. We're sharing ledger data.
Oh, I love it. I mean, we've been speaking for an hour. Did you think we were going to be speaking about nodes for an hour long so far?
Mate, if you get talking to me about this stuff, I could probably go on for days. So don't encourage it. If you guys want to move on to whatever else you want to chat about, I'm totally fine.
No, I'm absolutely loving it. Like I said, I'm actually learning a lot as well. I think it's really interesting. And if I'm learning a lot, hopefully a lot of other people are, or they may actually be smarter than me.
You know something, all jokes aside, there's a lot of members of the audience right now that have been hitting me up live on the space or before it started, or even DMs telling me that they're loving the learning atmosphere here. So please, mate, by all means, carry on. You're awesome.
That's fantastic.
That genuinely is, because yeah, I mean, this is what's beautiful about Kaspa. Everyone's always willing to learn, but the people that can teach you don't mind teaching you about it either, which is just awesome. Like you, for example, Luke, you've come up here and like spoken about castnodes.com and obviously how to run a node, and I guarantee that's just piqued people's interest so much. Even Wolf's about to start running nodes now, his own public nodes.
Wolf he can claim that he's actually been running. He ran a node quite early on. He reached out to me, I don't know, what was it, like 9 months ago or something, maybe even a year ago. I can't remember, but he reached out and took the initiative. So amazing work. Yeah.
It's on my desktop. my old Alienware standing there in the living room. So now,
There you
yeah,
go.
it's there. Yeah, just don't go on that thing a lot anymore, but it's there.
It just shows, right? If you've got some if we've piqued your interest, anyone who's listening today about it, go try something new. Put yourself out there and try something new. You know, there's no real negative impact. Maybe you might learn a new skill, or maybe you might realize something that you're is exciting. So yeah.
Have a go at building your own node, for example. Go on castnodes.com and see if you can build your own nodes. That'd be awesome. And if
Yeah,
you can, post about it because it might
definitely.
actually make other people realise, oh, I can do this. It's all about trying, isn't it? And that's the main thing. It doesn't matter if you fuck up a few times. It's all part of the learning.
100%. I think like, I don't know if I have been targeted by the X algorithm, but since I posted about cast nodes like a week or two ago, I have noticed more people talking about nodes. And I don't know if it's just like an echo chamber and the algorithm has adjusted to what I'm talking about, but I have seen a notable uptick, at least in my opinion, in people out there that are saying, hey, what is this? And how do I do this? And realizing that it's a lot more approachable than they thought, right? So yeah, it's cool.
It's definitely you, Luke. You are the node guy filling holes. Um, any-
Oh.
anyway,
Uh,
so STP's got his hand back up, which means he's got a whole list of questions to ask you, no doubt.
Oh yeah,
please.
that's a problem. So sorry that I was late. So I will ask some questions due my lack of knowledge. So I lost a lot of my IT skills after I went into sales. So I will probably say things that are not correct. So feel free to correct me or insult me if I say stupid shit. I can handle it.
There's
Currently,
nothing stupid, my friend. We're all learning, so it's
yeah,
fine.
okay, but I should have done it before. But okay. Currently, I run two nodes on my desktop, one on PowerShell and one on Kaspa 24/7, both on testnet 10. My question is, what is the difference between running a node on PowerShell or PowerShell, or you can use the other program I forgot the name, but or on Cas NG? What's the difference between the two?
Um, that's it's a bit of a loaded question there, but I'll try and unpack it a bit. So, you're running two of the testnet 10 nodes, did you
Yeah,
say? Yeah,
yeah,
okay, cool. And
yeah.
one is running using Casper NG, and one is running you've started it up in PowerShell, is that correct?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, with the latest version of testnet to prepare for you guys. I think it was Code of Stuff asked to help for people running testnet nodes, testnet 10 nodes for the preparation of the mainnet. So that's what I do. That's why I did it.
So, yeah, a lot to kind of unpack there, but firstly, great, amazing work. I'm running a test 10 node as well, I think on a mini PC though. I think I've got about like 5 different nodes, but I have
Mm-hmm.
different reasons for that, but I'll unpack that in a second. To answer your question, obviously it's just about the way that you run it, right? So if you've started the node software in PowerShell,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would argue that there's probably a much higher chance that if for whatever reason something went wrong with your computer and maybe PowerShell crashed, you probably don't have there's a lot more user interaction for you to get that back up again. Maybe you need to run a script, maybe you need to change into a certain folder and run the file. It's more of going to be a user access sort of thing. Now, I was going to say like if you're running two of testnet 10 on the same machine and in the same versions, I
Mm-hmm.
would argue there's probably not a big point of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because really it's about having eh, there's a lot to unpack here, and I'm probably not going to do it justice. But
Sorry.
when you run no, that's totally fine. When you run a node, and say for example you ran two of the same node software on one machine, it's not going to be more benefit to the network you running two of the same version on the same machine. But for example, I actually do that myself. I have two nodes running in high availability mode, which means that I can mine to kind of like a distributor which determines whichever node is online, and then it kind of goes through that. Now, that's one reason why you would run multiple nodes of the same version on the same machine. But because you're running two different versions, probably, version 17, I think, you might be running in PowerShell. Is that, do you know if that's what you're running or something like that? STP? Well, let's just assume, right? You're probably running the latest version in PowerShell, and you may be running Kaspa NG, which I don't think is up to date with the latest version of the Node software. I think it's version 15 or version 16. I can't remember. Um, that would kind of benefit because you're probably getting feedback and you're seeing the results of what they're doing. And if something went wrong with the software on testnet 10, you can feed that back into the feedback loop of the developers and say, hey, why is it doing this? But it's not like it's providing immense amounts of extra like
Value.
yeah, like it is, and I don't want to ever tell someone that they shouldn't be running that. But there's different reasons for running different things. Like if you're running multiple nodes of the same version on the same machine, then it's more about having high availability. If one potentially has a problem and kind of, or for example, if you run a mining operation and you want zero downtime, and you're running your own nodes, you would run high availability, meaning you run multiple nodes in kind of like a pool, and then you mine to the coordinator, which just sends that traffic to whichever node is online. But because in your instance you're not doing that, I suppose your question was like, what's the difference? It's just a differing a way of starting it up. You're running one of the newest versions of the Node software, which is probably version 17, and you're running an older
Yeah,
version.
yeah,
So
but
look,
I've sorry to interrupt you. I've tagged you in the comments. So I posted two screenshots, one of the KNG and one of the PowerShell. Maybe you can see some information.
well, I mean, they're both running. Yeah, I can tell from the information that in the Kaspa NG one that you're fully synced. And in the second screenshot, it's a screenshot of the output of essentially what it's running, and it's and transactions are occurring, and I can see that it's definitely processing. Yeah, it looks normal. Great work. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Definitely. So I gave like a
Yeah.
long-winded answer there. I don't know if anyone finds value in that, but yeah, I think ultimately, if you're going to run a node, or sorry, if you're going to run the node software on your machine, just run it in whichever way is accessible to you. And if you want to run it in PowerShell and you're happy with or comfortable with interacting with the command line in that way, then do that, or run it via Kaspa NG. They're both
Yeah.
achieving the same function.
But and then a follow-up question for the NG. When I remember that I was running a public node a few months ago on KNS on mainnet, public performance archival node, and then
You were running an archival node?
yeah.
Are you sure? Did you
But on
fully
mainnet,
down? Because
on mainnet,
yeah, just double checking, because running an archival node involves literally downloading the entire history
yeah,
of the
I
network.
did it.
So
I did it.
yeah, oh, awesome.
Yeah, but
Who did you connect through to do that?
yeah. What do you mean? So I have a gaming laptop that I put myself. So I have a very good computer. So yeah, if I see at what the notes at that time were asking from my CPU was actually nothing. So I built my own PC because I'm a gamer. But I don't think that was the question.
No. So the reason why I say that is running an archival node is not just a matter of clicking a button and opening up the Kaspa NG software and sort of saying, yep,
No, but
it's an
it was in the
archival node.
settings.
Yeah.
You could put it in the settings. You could have put
Yeah,
in.
no, that's not the full. So essentially, what you've done there is you've indicated to the software that you want to keep every transaction and not prune it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely kind of the archival node function, but it's not the true essence of what the archival node is kind of meant to be, I suppose. So essentially, when you run an archival node, you literally download every single transaction, even prior to you setting up your node. And it's quite a lengthy process because you have to
Mm-hmm.
seed from one of the actual other archival node operators. So you essentially download, I think that the entire transaction history or the entire ledger is about 1.2 terabytes currently, 1.1
Yeah,
terabytes.
yeah, it took
So
some
you would
time.
have
Yeah.
had to have, yeah, you would have had to, but in order to do that, you actually have to directly connect to someone. It's not you don't just click a button. So that's, yeah, it gets a little bit confusing there, and it's arguably one of the bits of the node operating sort of setup, which probably could do with a little bit more clarification. But yeah, anyway, besides the point. Great work. And
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for running a node.
Yeah, and then one more question. When I ran this on mainnet, I remember that I could see all the like on PowerShell, but now I'm on KNS, testnet 10. I remember when I was running on mainnet on KNS that I could see the same things like I see on PowerShell. So all the transactions, all the accepted blocks and things like that. Is it true or am I mistaken? But because it was a long time ago.
Sorry, I'm just a little bit confused. Can you just run me through that question again there?
Yeah,
Sorry.
so if I remember well, when I was running this archival performance node on mainnet, and I check it on kns.org, I remember there was a tab where you could see all the accepted blocks and things like that. But when I'm on testnet 10, I cannot see anything about the blocks being processed. That's what
It's very, very difficult to answer that without seeing. So yeah, feel free to shoot me some screenshots or pictures and I can kind of answer offline and kind of take it from there. But yeah, it's hard without kind of seeing what you're
Yeah.
referring there.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Sorry. I'm almost there. Sorry. Public node. Yeah, what's the impact of your own internet speed? So I've decent because I'm a gamer. I have a decent amount of. I think it was discussed. But what is the impact? The real impact of your own internet speed if you're running a node or a miner? What is the importance of this? Is this? Yeah, that one it's clear. I think the question.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went through that earlier, but the
Yeah.
essence of it
Yeah.
is essentially, if you have it's not about necessarily internet connectivity is not a clear-cut thing. It's not about the speed. Like it's kind of like a balancing act of many different elements of connectivity.
Yeah,
So
because you're
first of all,
reliable on your provider too.
yeah, definitely. So like
Yeah.
first of all, it's the actual speed is an element. It is not the only element. It is also then your provider. If you have a provider in some countries, essentially what they do is they take to oversimplify it, they take a pipe and then they cut it off into little chunks. And then they provide those little chunks to the users, right? But if
Mm-hmm.
they sell too much of that pipe, and at a certain time, like for example, a peak hour in the evening when a lot of people come home from work and it's like 6 p.m. and they all jump on the computer or they go on their TV and they're watching Netflix, that pipe then gets very saturated and everyone's trying to battle to get the connectivity at the same time. So if you have a connection that is like that from a provider who has kind of essentially oversold their connection to their users, then you might end up in a position where you're fighting. It's called contention, right? It's the amount of throughput that can go through that pipe at one time. So you might have on paper the fastest internet in the world, but if you literally cannot get your packets into that pipe, or there is some some limitations there, then that can ultimately affect your mining. So it's not a clear-cut thing. You actually just end up into the world of IT. Welcome. You're learning about
Yeah,
network
I used to.
connectivity and all the
Yeah,
fun sort of things.
yeah, I used to
Um,
have IT knowledge, but I lost it. But so, for example, I run once a week at a speed test. So my download Mbps is like 909, upload 934. So I think it's very good because
yep.
I um, So that's good. And then, okay, thank you for answering. Then you remember, well, we talked. You remember that I spammed you on Telegram about the notes because you were active on it. You remember it or not? I missed
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
So we talked about it, and you said you have a lot of stuff to do, which it's understandable. But do you agree that OneNote for the future? I said it before on other MS session. OneNote for the future of Kaspa is the best solution. So OneNote with the perfect hardware specs, OneNote that can work with all the different miners from all different suppliers as energy efficient as possible. Also node that can withstand time when Kaspa scales further if it's important. So is this, and then with one tutorial, one guide, so we can have really people incentivize people to start solo mining and have it as easy as possible. Because if people start using old laptops, Linux, or Raspberries, it will be complicated for people. I think for people like me, it would also be easy, but maybe some people who have really no IT background, I think it's important that they just buy a miner and then they can buy the node and there is a tutorial included. So what do you think about this proposal? Is it stupid or is it something that we should do for as when the average block rate increases to 10 blocks per second and people even little miners can be profitable mining solo?
Definitely, definitely a great concept. I just want to add a little bit more color to that. I think the beauty of a peer-to-peer network of decentralization is the
Yeah.
fact that literally anyone can go out there and run whatever they want in however they want. Now, to answer your point, I think it would be fantastic, and it's kind of something that I'm trying to do, to be able to give the option for people that are so inclined, that either don't have the time, the energy, or whatever, to be able to literally just buy a node. But I think it's really important for you to understand the concept that right now, a node is literally just software on any machine, right? So
Yeah,
when you
indeed.
say
Yeah.
compatibility with miners, the Stratum bridge currently, as far as I'm aware, is compatible with every miner. So
Okay.
it's not an issue of compatibility. It's
Mm-hmm.
more of, okay, I'm gonna choose to run the software on this machine and it'll be there. So yeah, I think the essence of what you're trying to talk about is make running a node as easy as
Yeah.
possible for people who would like to just essentially buy it. And I agree with that. Do I want a world where there is only one type of node out there and that's what everyone has to buy? No, because I think that decentralization
Yes,
is really
it's true.
important to be able to have people running it on.
Yeah.
If they have a calculator that's powerful enough to run the node software, then so be it. Plug it in. If they've got a fridge that has the thing on it, then do it. But I think the essence of what you're talking about is make something that is approachable and
Mm-hmm.
easy, and I agree with that.
Yeah, but
But it's
I like the technical knowledge to do something. So, but maybe it would be a good mix. So people running nodes on the old computers or old or Raspberries, and then you have for the people who are interested in mining but don't have the the IT. So a good mix of miners. That's what I think should be good. But okay, thank you for your answer. Um,
and great questions. And yeah, thanks,
really?
STP.
And oh,
Yeah,
sorry, one more question. So if I run a PowerShell, so the latest version of PowerShell, I want to open Rothschild, but I open Rothschild and it closes immediately.
that's really difficult, mate, without seeing like the errors or logs or something.
Yeah, there is no
I
error.
can't troubleshoot that. Yeah.
There's no error.
Yeah.
But okay, I
There
will
would
ask.
probably be something in your event logs, maybe in Windows, it might say, what
Yeah,
happened
okay.
there with that. I don't know. But
So
it's difficult. We get into the realm of troubleshooting there, and yeah,
yeah,
probably not the best time for that right now, but happy to, send me some screenshots or something, and I can try
Yeah.
and work it
Do
out.
you want me to send it to you? I will not do it today because you have too much work. Probably I will do it in the coming days. I will prepare it very clearly so I don't spend too much of your time. And I will provide a screenshot and things like that. But if I send it, please, you're so much more important in the Kaspa community than me. So if I send it to you, just take your time. I don't want to be a burden. Okay.
No problem at all.
Okay. Thank you for your time. It was very interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, STP.
Yep.
Yeah, cheers, STP. I love it when you come up and speak because it gives me a time to reload my coffee. So much appreciated. But I'm only joking, man. It's really good that you've got all these questions because, like I said, and I really appreciate you as well, Luke, because you're answering all of these questions. Like I said, we didn't even expect to be doing this, but I absolutely love it, and I think it's so good for the community as well. I definitely think a lot of people are learning a lot more about nodes, which is absolutely key and fantastic. So thank you to both of you.
No
No
problem.
problem.
I'm just doing my best to answer the questions, so people might have differing opinions, and I welcome them. So yeah, just adding my 2 CAS, and yeah, that's it.
Talking about the CAS, like the denominations of CAS, just quickly, what do we think? Like, are you a Sompy guy or are you a Dvork guy?
I'm probably in the Dvork side, personally, but ultimately, like I kind of try to embody the point of I don't really care, like whatever, like it doesn't really, yeah, like I do, and I've posted about the background to the 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 lady who is that name, that's her last name, but arguably proof of work, and people are I welcome differing opinions, but arguably proof of work wouldn't exist without her. So I think it's only fitting to pay homage to someone that without her we potentially would not exist. In this, we would not that we wouldn't exist, but we wouldn't be having this conversation right now if potentially she didn't put together a concept many years ago to ultimately fight spam emails. Like, I don't want to really get deep into it, but the concept is essentially the reason her claim, or not claim to fame, but her sort of little, not little, but her huge impact to the ecosystem is the fact that many, many years ago, her and her fellow researcher came up with a concept that it could essentially fight spam emails. Now, if you've been around the block for a while, you've probably used emails, and back in the day, spam emails, and they still are, but they're probably not so prevalent nowadays because of spam filters. But spam emails was a huge problem, right? And so it was a huge problem because people were getting spammed, the inbox was getting full, the IT administrators had to, manage excess amounts of potentially data coming into their network, but then also manage excess amounts of potentially malicious data, whether it was emails with scams or viruses, or people targeting Chris Hutch's Windows ME edition on his computer, so they could infect him with viruses. But the long and short of it is, she came up with a concept that was to fight spam emails or limit spam emails. They would implement a task that the computer that the email that was sending the email had to do. And it was a proof of work. And it was essentially proving that you had to spend some CPU cycles to be able to actually do and send that email. And it was like you had to do something to receive something. And so you would essentially write your email. It's all conceptually here because unfortunately, she didn't bring the design into the real life. People went in other directions. I suppose spam filters became much more of a bigger thing, but the concept still like existed. It was in order to prove that you are a real person and that you are doing a real thing, you need to do a real function. And so spend some energy, which, CPU cycles running a program or something of the sort. And the intention was that it would make it so that if you were a spammer out there sending millions of emails per day, it would just become so difficult for you to be able to do that because you would need to have like a supercomputer. Okay, so yeah, I didn't mean to really go into it, but I'm on the camp of I don't really care what it's called, but I do like the thought of us paying homage to someone who I think is quite a key person in proof of work, and yeah, rightfully so.
I mean, I'm glad you did go into it because I think it's a really interesting story. And again, like if people are seeing the sort of the polling that's going on now, or the debate that's going on now, it gives a lot more context to why Dvork is actually quite a good name to be used. Because, like you said, she developed the framework of proof of work, and this is exactly where we are now.
Yeah.
And I think that's just awesome. I mean, do you think she is Satoshi?
It nearly made me spit out my coffee. I don't know. I don't really care. Whoever Satoshi is not really. Do not care. But Satoshi is everyone and nobody at the same time. So yeah, if it's her, then good on her, he, them, whatever.
Love it. I do wish she had a better last name though, or one that sort of rolled off the tongue a bit easier. Because if she was like called Cynthia Quid, it'd be a lot easier because we just call it like a denomination of as a quid.
You bloody Brits. We're not calling it a quid, all right? It's not happening.
Yeah, I was about to say you would love that, Chris. Get out of here.
Made in Britain.
That's
let's not
it.
get into
Stamp
that
it however you want. Yeah, look, my answer is I don't really care what people call it. Ultimately, the only reason why we're having this conversation is because there does have to be a point in the code where it is referenced, and currently it's not talk. So I think one of the things that when Jonathan was in Sydney, when we had a little meetup, and Ashton can probably attest to this because he was there as well. One of the things that he mentioned was that he would love the community to be kind of him to be a part of the community, but the community not to be built around him. And so he's obviously an amazing initiator of Casper, and obviously amazing researcher in all the things that he does. But I think it's important for us to kind of maybe follow that approach, right? Like let's not as much as everyone loves to idolize Jonathan, and rightfully so, he's an amazingly fascinating person. Let's look at what we can do to really go in that direction, I suppose. I don't know. Everyone is entitled their opinion, and people that want to keep it sumpy, they can do that. It's fine. But yeah, I try to embody that. Maybe Ashton, you can probably put it more eloquently than I. But you were there as well, so yeah.
I don't know if I can do a better job than you did, but I will say that I definitely agree with you, and I found that to be true in person, and that it was part of his speech at the Kaspa event at the art museum. So it absolutely is important. But the thing that stood out to me about his GitHub issue or comment, I don't know exactly what it was, but the line that stood out to me was and maybe I'm not quoting it perfectly, but it was something along the lines of I reserve my right to pseudonymity, right? He's sharing that he doesn't personally want his name used as this unit of measurement, which Cynthia Dvork and the work and the email spam stuff you talk about, it is an amazing story and it is really beneficial, and it's very I think it's very right to like you said, pay homage to these folks that came before us or before Caspa. But just the simple fact that this guy cares enough about being part of the community and not seeking glory for himself, I think is enough reason to champion his idea.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So I love the story. I think that, proof of work, as I said, probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for her. I suppose though the only potential thing here is if somehow she comes out of the woodwork and says, no, I don't want it to be called that either, then we'll have to, maybe she can chuck a hat in the ring if she so chooses, and then maybe we find another thing, and maybe Chris could suggest pound, but hopefully that doesn't get off the ground. And yeah, we all carry on with our lives.
What's quite interesting is because I've obviously never spoken to Jonathan, but I'm just assuming, or just from what I have seen, he seems to be like total decentralization, like to the point where, like, real actual decentralization. And I think that part of it as well is if you hold someone up on a pedestal, and, like, don't get me wrong, he obviously is, like you said, Luke, really intelligent guy, really he's a great guy. But if you hold someone up on a pedestal, you're sort of just it's a sort of centralization, isn't it? Because you're holding someone up and you're looking to them all the time, and that's not what he wants. He wants decentralization. He wants everyone to just think for yourselves. Go build. The framework's there now. Sort of have fun. You don't need to follow me. Do your own thing. Or maybe I'm just thinking about it way too much.
No, I think you're spot
No,
on, man, because it like restricts critical thinking and constructive argumentivity in the space, if that's a word. Like if you hold someone up on a pedestal and you believe that they are, above all and they're the guy to follow, you no longer argue with them and push back on their ideas. And I don't want to speak for Jonathan by any stretch of the imagination, but I get the sense that he appreciates and welcomes those challenges, intellectual and kind of argumentative challenges in the space. So it defeats the purpose if you think too highly of somebody.
I think ultimately his intention is that he would like to remove himself as, as you were kind of mentioning, Chris, like he doesn't want to be the idol of, of Kaspa, right? Like look at other projects, right? There was a certain founder sniffing a dog's butt the other day, or like a robot dog's butt. But, I think we need to really disconnect ourselves from looking at, amazingly, rightfully so, Jonathan, but like kind of move out to a point of, let's just sort of decentralize that. Let's really take the essence of what people like him are contributing to the project, but let's not put him onto as a god amongst us, because at the end of the day we're all contributing our time and energy in different ways, and yeah, we all benefit from it. So
100%, man. There's a lot of people that have got questions. So I'll start with, I'm hoping to say his name right, Sed, because he's had his hand up for ages.
Yeah. Hello, guys. I'm Cedric. I just want to send the invitation information here, because I sent you guys, both of you, Chris and Luke, DM. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Cedric, and I'm Maxi European marketing manager. So I'm not sure if you will be at Paris blockchain next week, but I'm putting right now I'm putting together private dining events with Maxi Ventures. So I just want to say I would love you to join us, and also if you come, it would be great to have you as speaker on the discussion panel. So far, the ICP mantra movement has confirmed speaker in discussion panel. So yeah, just want to ask, because the DM might be in this ban. So
well, firstly, thanks for the invitation, Cedric. Your invitation did look like it landed into the black abyss of my message requests box, but I can just see it now, and yeah, thanks for the invitation. Unfortunately, I'm pretty far away from Paris. I'm in Australia, so it's not necessarily the easiest thing, but maybe Chris is more over that way. Maybe he can pop over there and help you out, but happy to continue this chat afterwards and see what we can do. But yeah, thank you for the invitation nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely appreciate the invitation. I don't think I'll be able to get. Did you say it's next week?
it's next week. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
I don't think I'd be able to get over for that, unfortunately. But we do have some French ambassadors as well that may very well be going to it.
Yeah, I've actually I've tried to inviting someone from like KF, but unfortunately, the dev dev refused my invitation because maybe I think due to some business competition reasons. Yeah, they are not allowing people to even introducing Kaspa in public. Yeah, just because of competition. Yeah. So that's what
Okay.
I thought.
Cedric, let's continue this chat afterwards, and hopefully we can try and find someone that can help you out there, and yeah, happy to chat further. Just yeah,
Yeah, sure.
let's go from there.
Thank you.
Thanks for jumping on, and hopefully you're learning about running a Casper node or whatever. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, man. Also, we have Novel Lamp Theory. You've got your hand up. You've had your hand up for a while. They may not still be there. Have I rugged?
Nah, you're still there, mate. I was
Yes,
just trying to,
he's rugged.
yeah.
Definitely, definitely rugged.
Yeah,
This
you're
is
rugged.
my phone.
Definitely right.
What was it they're saying in the back ends that my PC runs on 10 bricks per second?
Oh, that's brilliant. We need to get it on a
Oh,
t-shirt,
man.
man. Oh my god,
Hey,
that was
hey, how you
awesome.
guys are doing?
I love it when you guys talk about the back end. Fantastic. Anyway, we're doing well. Novel
Can you hear
Lamp
me?
Theory. Sorry, I don't know what your name is directly, but yes, we're doing well.
Hey, this is Bratin. This is Bratin from Novel and Theory.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Look, thank you so much for a lot of information. I felt like I went into a school for 4 years and back. I've learned a lot of things. I had no clue about nodes and all of that. And interestingly, this week only, I was just thinking, hey, why not do something additional with the effort that we are doing for Novel and Theory and get some additional revenue stream coming in. And this is something that is really sparking an interest in me. So I have obviously no clue about nodes and all before. Whatever I've picked up from this information, I just wanted to ask a few basic questions. First up is other than investing on the hardware, the mini PCs or whatever is the starting point, what is the entry cost to get started with it?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. Fantastic that you're learning a lot. It feels funny for me to imagine that people are listening to anything that I have to say. But yeah, to answer your question, look, it's really quite cheap, right? So what I was trying to explain was most people have old computers in their house, a laptop, etc., that may already do exactly what they need and be sufficient to run a node. So I would first encourage anyone who wants to go down the path of building one, or and when I say building, it's literally just like going onto your computer and installing the software, right? Um, to check that out first, check out what you've got. Have you got an old computer in your house that runs 24/7 anyway? You always forget to turn it off, then maybe consider putting the software on there. But if you don't, and a lot of people don't, I find probably in the $200 mark is probably going to get you something that'll do the majority of what you need. Around that, we're talking roughly, right? So that could even be a refurbished machine. So if you're really wanting to stop the purchase of new hardware and really support the whole initiative to reuse stuff rather than buy new things, then you could go down the path of looking at some refurbished machines and just install the software on there, or buy a brand new one. You could get it delivered to your door and probably the same day through Amazon. So maybe $200 will get you something pretty good, is what I would say.
Yeah, I understood that. Like, I was just looking at all those Amazon options, the mini PCs, and they have got very good configurations to run the load. So I have a background of running Linux virtual machines, so I kind of get what you were talking about running on the nodes and the software that you're putting on. So that part is okay. So other than investing on the hardware, there is no other cost to run the algorithms at the back.
To run the node, is that what you said?
Yeah, to run the node, basically, to run the node
No,
in the
no,
back.
no. It's the only cost would be hardware, and by extension to that, you having an internet connection. And ideally,
Yeah,
a stable internet connection that is up 24/7. That's it. There's no cost. And so I will just also mention, because some people may hear us talking about this and not be too familiar with it. In the Kaspa ecosystem, running a node does not pay you anything. You don't receive money. We don't pay people to run nodes. And it really is done for a multitude of different reasons, but not one because you're getting paid to do it. So in some other ecosystems, some other projects, there is incentivization, whether it's through like staking or something of the like. For example, Ethereum, if you run a node there, you commit you stake your 32 Ethereum, and then you get some coin back for doing that. But Kaspa, there's no monetary incentive here, so it's more of a you are supporting the network that you love, and you have the security of not having to go through an intermediary to do anything with the network. You literally are directly interacting with the Kaspa network. So I just thought I'd mention that, because some people might jump in the DMs and go, how much can I make by doing this? It's not a matter of doing that. So just wanted to mention.
yeah, sounds like a great plan. Thank you so much for your answers.
No problem.
I think people are learning a lot. I'm actually really enjoying this. I think like a lot of people, including myself, are learning a lot about nodes. So awesome job, Luke. Really, you're the node godfather.
Oh, mate, I am merely standing on the shoulders of giants. The people that have made the software are arguably the node godfathers. I'm just a guy spruiking it, so it's fine.
That's absolutely awesome. Levendi, I'm having trouble seeing the Jumbotron now. Is there any more questions in there?
Yeah, I think there is. Let me open up my phone because PC's kind of stuck. Somebody said that the Jumbotron looks like the Snake game. How do we beat it? Because there's so many up there today. Let me see. I think you pretty much covered everything, to be honest. Let me see. There's I think the last thing that I pinned up, El Perro stating about testnet was hard fork from 1 BPS to 10 BPS long ago. Check the pinned. And yeah, that was it. That's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, and then I put up the poll that I made about from yesterday as well. Just running back again just to see if there's anything new that's come through. Hello guys, I'm already running a node with K and G on main PC. Will invest in a mini PC to run the hard fork and plugging my miners on it 24/7. Is it the good way? Question mark.
I think we've answered that one. That's Pappy Nacho, wasn't it?
Yes, that was the one. Okay, sorry, I didn't.
Awesome. I love that name, by the way, Pappy Nacho.
Thanks, Pappy.
It's great. I didn't realize the name. That's bloody awesome.
It's like Mexican or Spanish, like Pappy Nacho. That was a terrible accent. I'm really sorry. I've probably offended a shit ton of people now. I apologise. You can take the piss out of my British accent anytime you want.
You're offending the Irish when you try and do cryptopumpz access, and now you're offending everyone else, mate. It's all right.
And the Russians as well, apparently. Cryptopumpz with his thumbs down. Oh, we've obviously been going on for quite a while now about nodes, and I genuinely really do appreciate it. I think it's brilliant. I think, have we got another? Sorry, I was going to move on because I did want to sort of get a brief background on like how you got into Kaspa as well. But there are some people who, I think, Novel Lamp, have you got your hand back up, or am I glitching?
No, not. I just wanted to know a couple of things. Like, is there a way that you can share some resources from where we can learn more about it? And also, when we run these nodes, if an event of any failures, is there a way that we can get some kind of tech support?
First question. Hopefully castnodes.com will be somewhere where you can try and learn a little bit. I will just mention that's my site, so I'm probably a bit biased there. But currently it may not have all the information that you need to answer your questions. But if it doesn't, I would suggest jumping onto YouTube or jumping onto maybe even X and searching for Kaspa nodes and just having a little bit of do your own research and get out there and sort of understand it. And hopefully you'll probably come across some amazing videos by some of the content creators like Kaspa Silver and the like, talking about their setup of node software. So definitely suggest that. To answer your question about tech support, well, there's not a tech hotline, but you could probably call Chris if you want. He can run you through how to troubleshoot it on Windows ME. But no, all jokes aside, the community. It's an open source community, so I would say jump onto maybe the Discord, ask some questions on there. Maybe jump onto a YouTube video, ask some questions there. But there's no one that's paid to support it, and yeah, you'll probably just got to jump out there and ask questions.
Awesome. Thanks for your question, Novel Lamp Theory. And SCP, have you got your hand up again?
Yeah, sorry, one more question. My last question, I promise.
Go ahead, bro.
Famous
The
last
floor's yours.
It's again for Luke. I put in the comments some screenshots again in the previous post. So as I was scrolling through your X page and I found you reposted something of someone who was running on mainnet on KNG. KNG, yeah. No, on mainnet. And then you notice the difference between running it on testnet 10 and mainnet. On mainnet, you can see there is a tab on the top where it said logs, so you can see all the accepted blocks you're doing. You can follow like it's for me on PowerShell, but this is not the case on testnet 10. This doesn't appear on the screen when you run it on the testnet 10, the logs. So is it something important or not? Do you see the screenshots I have posted?
I'm having trouble finding it right now,
so
SCP.
it's
If
the
I could
first.
be honest, it's probably something. If you want, just DM me and we'll chat after this, and I can
Okay.
have
Sorry.
a look.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Bye bye.
No stress. Thanks,
Sorry.
mate.
Sorry.
Cheers. Hey, we've got another hand up as well. Honestly, Luke, I'm not shitting you. I think this has been the most questions we've ever been asked. So you're obviously doing something right. And like I said, like you filled that niche where people do genuinely want to know about nodes, but it's just something that's never really spoken about. So fucking awesome job there. Dano, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
All right, guys. It's an amazing session so far. GM. Personally, I've never run a node. But I do understand. I do learn a lot, so I do understand little about how nodes work, and I think I've heard like a lot from Luke's explanation so far. I think he has answered a lot of questions. So basically, I got excited, and personally, I'm thinking about running one now because I'm very excited about the entire concept of it. And I think I might as well run my first node on Kaspa. It's crazy, guys. I think this space definitely break the entire concept down. So definitely, it's something I'll be looking forward to like jump into in the future. I think the only thing I've done so far, in relation to what Luke have explained, is running a miner. I think I started running a miner on Tari, which is an L1 blockchain, not on Kaspa. I think I should explore this stuff more on Kaspa. So definitely, I'm thinking about setting up a node on Kaspa. But the resources for that, I think, um I bit limited, so definitely would try to get my hands on them and start running maybe a node on Kaspa. But my question, I think I'm listening to this piece while doing stuffs in the background, so I'm not paying full attention, but I've been listening for the most part. But my question is, what are the use of these miners? Like, what exactly are the use of miners except mining the native tokens of a blockchain? Are there any other uses of these miners? I know Luke must have explained this earlier, but um I don't know, I didn't get that.
Um, Firstly, thanks, Dano. I really appreciate and get excited when people listen to the crap that comes out of my mouth and if they want to get inspired to get involved. So firstly, I'm very I'm honored that you're finding value in it. And yeah, thanks for coming along. Hopefully, yeah, you jump in there. And I think that, when you are involved with the community and you're passionate about it, or you're learning about it and you want to kind of do something, then it feels great to kind of contribute your resources and maybe run a node or maybe even mine. So yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. To answer your question, and I think it was essentially kind of paraphrasing here, but what does a miner do? I think is kind of what I gathered from that. Is that sort of what you were saying? Yeah. Okay. Um. So in proof of work, and again, kind of comes back to the concept that was put together by the lovely researcher with her name Dwork, was to try and essentially verify that things that people do have honestly occurred. I'm probably butchering this, but it's like if I did something, and I could do it for free and without any repercussions, I might do a lot of it, right? And so mining is kind of the concept of essentially ultimately you are verifying the ledger. You are essentially proving to a point that something that went from me to you was verified and confirmed without any bank or person sitting in the middle. It is miners essentially who are sort of maintaining that and providing that support through that method. It kind of there's a lot of nuance to it. It gets a little bit murky there, but proof of work leverages people who dedicate their resources to being able to provide verification of transactions that occur between one another without having to have a dedicated person who is assigned to do it. And it's the randomization of that because there's not a guarantee that a miner will hit a block or verify that block. But having more hash power and the continual evolution of hash power, whereby not one person can control that hash power indefinitely, that makes proof of work unique. So in other consensus mechanisms, there is a concept that maybe in proof of stake, you take your money or your coin, you dedicate it, you buy a stake by putting that forward, and then that kind of gives you that level of control indefinitely. There may be some level of maintenance that occurs by having to pay certain fees or something to try and keep that stake, but the fees are quite minimal often. Whereas with proof of work, it is the concept of you having to put forward your energy, which is ultimately what all servers use at the end of the day, and resources to continuously reinvest into verifying the network. And so it gives you a situation where you don't have single entities controlling the verification indefinitely, and they continually have to reinvest into optimizing their miners, optimizing their the supporting infrastructure around that, whether it's like a sort of data center style environment, or finding competitively priced energy throughout the world. So to boil it down to, it just is essentially being able to ensure that everyone has a fair chance of securing the network. whether they have little hash rate or a lot of hash rate, it doesn't really matter. They're all providing support and security to verify those transactions. I'm kind of running on limited sleep and a lot of coffee right now, but hopefully that gives you some level of answer. But happy to answer any questions other than that if you, if you have anything further.
Yeah, I think that explains it. And definitely, you did a good job breaking it down. I think just one question before I let you go. I guess you've been exhausted because I've seen like a lot of speakers asking you a lot of questions. So definitely understand if you're tired. So like mining is so mining is only supported by proof of work blockchains, like blockchains who support proof of work, right?
Yeah, so proof of work utilizes as far as anything that I can think of, the concept of mining. There is other sort of concepts whereby you may not be mining, but you might be storing data, or you might be doing something similar. Ultimately, it is that they are similar in the concept, because you have to do something to verify something. But the most popular one, and the one that is, utilized by Bitcoin and a lot of other proof of work networks, is the concept of mining. And mining is just kind of like a name that helps us to understand conceptually what is going on. Because if you really think about a miner, like, we're not talking about like crypto, you're talking about someone who goes out there, maybe they're mining gold, right? And so they don't know where that gold is. They just know that it exists, and they go and they buy their tools so that they could go dig up that gold. And so one day they might hit gold, or one day they might not hit any gold. And so that's why, like, the concept of mining, or like the terminology, is utilized there, because there is it's like a without getting kind of into the weeds there, it's kind of like a little bit of a chance, but you got to be in it to win it, right? And so if you're not mining, then you're not making gold, and if you are mining, then there's a chance that you will strike gold in one day. So yeah, I don't know if that kind of answers it.
Yeah, it definitely does. Thank you so much for like your answers. Definitely interesting. I think I've attended these BB shows for a while now. I don't usually stay very long. I do stay for a while. I had to hop off most times, but today I decided to stay and listening to what you are explaining. I think I kind of understand nodes and miners more better just by listening to your explanations. So definitely appreciate it.
Wow, that's thank you, man. I really appreciate that. It's the feedback from the community um that just makes this all worthwhile. So love it.
It's like you said at the beginning, Luke. If Cas nodes can help just one person, then you've done a brilliant job. And to be honest with you, from this space, I could guarantee you've helped so many people, and I guarantee there's going to be more nodes coming online thanks to you. So yeah, massive job, man.
Awesome. Love it.
Amazing. Right. I know time's getting on, and you are probably knackered.
Look, I'm easy. Whatever you guys want to do. If you want to, yeah, I'm happy to answer anything really. I mean, it is daytime. When I said tired, I just I got up early, so it's not the end of the day for me, but it's probably the end of the day for you guys. So happy to continue with whatever you want to do. If you want to dive into other topics, then yeah, just let me know. Whatever.
I've just because I've heard your story into Kaspa a few times now, but I genuinely quite like it. I think it's a cool story, and to where you are now in Kaspa, like a lot of people know you in the Kaspa space. You're quite a prominent figure, I'd say. When people talk about Kaspa, they'll know Luke. So I'd love to just sort of get your sort of journey to that point.
Yeah, it always feels funny because I'm like, I'm just a guy on the internet. But I appreciate the comment. Chris. And I think arguably a lot of the people in this space are just as recognizable. You, Levendi, Ashton, Wolfies, cryptopumpz, everyone, right, are all kind of recognizable. But yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Um, so I don't know, it was just funny talking about my story. But anyway, it's essentially like I'm just a nerd, right? Like I grew up playing a lot of computer games, as probably some of the people in this audience have done. And I played a lot of the MMOs like WoW and RuneScape and all those types of, um, online games where the concept exists of gold or silver or just coins, right? And so, even from like a really, really, really young age, I was playing these games and connecting with people all over the world and making connections with, people that even to this day I still communicate with, right? But the concept was always there about it's funny, like you go to school and they teach you about economics and stuff like that, but then you go onto RuneScape and you go to the marketplace and you sell your party hat or something and you make 1,000,000 coins or something and you're like, wow, this is real economics. Like this is what I really want to learn about. So I I did a lot of my learning through games. And so the reason why I say that is I probably sort of showing my age a little bit, but I was like a teenager at the time when Bitcoin sort of first launched. Now, I don't have any claim to fame that I'm some Bitcoin millionaire and sailing off on my yacht into the sunset. But I did have an experience with it that kind of stuck with me until now, and that was like, as I said, I was a teenager. I was playing these games. I was interacting with people online, and there was this whole sort of concept of, you love, gold in your games, whether it's WoW, RuneScape, whatever MMO, whatever it was at the time, right? Like, how about take that concept into outside of the game? And so I did stumble across Bitcoin in probably like 2011, 2012. And at the time, deep into all the forums that were on at the time. RIP to all of the forum sort of activity, but I was deep into a lot of the gaming forums and where people were talking about it. And so I came across Bitcoin in that way. And I ran at the time you could still mine Bitcoin with your CPU. So we're talking like real early days. It probably was like towards the end of being able to run and mine Bitcoin with your CPU. But I remember vividly installing the software on my computer, pressing mine, and then my GPU sorry, my CPU spinning up like crazy, and I was like, oh whoa, what's going on here? And like it was my first interaction with it. It wasn't, I didn't become a Bitcoin maxi, and I'm not a Bitcoin maxi either, although I, still support the concept. But it stuck with me, right? And so it stuck with me for many reasons. One, because I'm not a millionaire and on a yacht, but secondly, because it was my first interaction with something that was pretty amazing. At the time, I didn't really recognize it because ultimately what happened was as a teenager, you get other things that are interested, girls, drinking, as some teenagers do, outside of the computer that don't involve playing Counter-Strike into the wee hours of the morning. And I ultimately kind of switched it off. Right. So I switched off the mining software and I kind of was like, yeah, this is cool. The concept is cool, but I have better things to do. And so the reason why I kind of explained this story was and I'll kind of jump through, I suppose, what happened after that. But when I reflect on that, I see that as being a point in my life where something amazing came in front of me, and I took it for granted. Right, I was probably too young to kind of really grasp the seriousness of it or what it was. But I took it for granted, and it was a fantastic thing at the time, and something that was amazing. But I reflect on that with my kind of pursuit of understanding Casper, right? And so when Casper came across my lens of view, I felt and kind of reflected on that because I went on a little bit of a journey after that to try. It sounds a bit like cheesy, but essentially, like, spent time, recognized what Bitcoin was, but kind of just threw it away. Like, yeah, cool, whatever. Um, I didn't do anything crypto related for a long time, even though my background, I've been in IT for over 11, 12 years working in the industry across many different ranges of jobs, starting off at the help desk, answering the calls, resolving issues, up to more of like an architectural level, designing solutions for, multi-million dollar companies with high availability, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm no, it doesn't sort of, I don't shy away from the tech side of thing, but after I found Bitcoin, I just kind of like, went on with life, right? So ignored that whole crypto world for many years, probably fast forward to, I don't know, the bull run of what, 2017, 2016. It came back on my radar. It was like, yeah, it's cool. Maybe fired up a miner on a GPU and played around with it, but didn't really get anywhere. And did speculate a little bit and just kind of played with it. But not as like a philosophical way of like understanding what crypto is. It was more like, this is cool tech. It's a bit of fun, but no depth to it. Fast forward again to kind of like the last bull run, which was where I'd had that exposure before in the previous bull run. I'd mined a little bit. I had some coin. I played around with it. It was fun. But the last bull run was when I really kind of went and spent a lot of time with it and built a farm that started from one GPU on your gaming computer. It was like a 30 RTX 3070 GPU, to the point where I built a farm that had around 100 GPUs in it, and so it became like an obsession. I went down the rabbit hole of mining, and at the time, Ethereum was proof of work. And it was profitable, it was super profitable, like to a point where you could, if you played your cards right, you could pay off. If you like, you had to put money in to make money, right? So if you had the money to buy a card, you could pay that card off very, very quickly and roll those profits into buying another card, which could then ultimately, so on and so forth. So I started off with one, went to 6 GPUs in a little standard open framed mining rig. Grew that to 2 rigs that had 12 GPUs, and then it just got completely out of control to the point where converted an area of the house into a dedicated mining area. Luckily, the house that I'm in has three-phase electricity. So, for anyone who's familiar with sort of electrical stuff, it's not very common, at least in Australia, to have access to that much electricity in one location. So, it was quite a unique opportunity whereby the house that I'm living in had the ability to access a lot of power. And it was fun because I went down this rabbit hole of not only learning about mining, which is, it's a pretty interesting concept because um, mining is like having children, right? When you have all these little GPUs, they all decide to do whatever they want on the day, and you're like trying to herd them in to do the same thing. And sometimes they don't want to do it, and sometimes they do, and then you'll go for weeks and there's no problems, and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and they've all just shit the bed, and they're like, what do I do here? So anyway, I learned about that, but I also went into the world of like, the supporting infrastructure around that. So coming from like the IT background, the networking side just comes like, that's fine, right? Setting up the network, making sure that you have redundancy with your internet connection, and setting up a node, et cetera, for solo mining. But then off into more of the side of mining that a lot of people don't either interact with because they don't need to. They may not get to that level, or they just don't know how to. And that's kind of like the supporting stuff, like cooling and electrical, right? So, once you start growing a mine, even just kind of like a home farm from a couple of GPUs, you start thinking, well, how am I going to cool this, right? Because these GPUs output a lot of heat. They turn energy into coin, but that spent energy comes out in heat. right? And so you have to start thinking about, you get into the realm of designing cooling for 100 GPUs, which are outputting, 60 degrees Celsius 24/7, right? And so you have a lot of heat. So it was fun. I went down the rabbit hole of learning that, learning about all the supporting infrastructure with power. Power is a big one. Nearly burnt the house down once, and it'll stick with me forever. And when I say nearly, I literally mean I walked into the room and the PowerPoint was on fire, with a flame coming up nearly to the roof. So luckily, the house that I'm in is a double brick house, so the house didn't burn down. But again, that's the sort of untold stories of mining, right? Once you start, like mining is not just an equation of put miners into a room, turn them on, and make profit. It is all of the supporting infrastructure that surround around that. And so, I, in this scenario, had employed an electrician to wire up a certain element of the of the mining of the power, and he was a bit dodgy. And he cut some corners, so I can probably only blame myself in that situation. But it'll always stick with me, the mental image of running into a room where the PowerPoint is on fire, the plug has melted to the ground. But for some reason, the circuit breaker hadn't tripped yet. So everything was still pumping along. And I did pretty much what every person should never do. I did switch off all the power, but I literally had to throw a bucket of water over a power socket. So don't do that. In my situation, I didn't die, but I did save my house, which is a good thing. And funnily enough, I was actually not meant to be there on that day. So maybe if I hadn't have been there, then my house would burn down. So anyway,
Can I,
you live and
Luke,
you
can I,
like.
can I just jump in there for 2 seconds? Because that's actually a
Yeah.
really interesting story. I knew that I have heard about you having a fire before, but I didn't realise it was actually that bad, where it was to the
Yeah.
literally flames coming out quite high, and you having to actually
Yeah.
save it by chucking water on it.
I've got a picture somewhere of the plug, and maybe a video because I had security camera in the thing. If I dig it up, I'll share it if anyone's interested. But yeah, yeah,
And so
it's
do you
true.
know what actually caused it? Because especially it's definitely a dodgy electrician, because the circuit breaker should have tripped like 100%. So do you think it was
So
something like that caused
yeah, look, I
overheating?
think it was a combination of I was using subpar circuit breakers. I think the brand was called Chimp, so I probably only have myself to blame for that. I probably should have known that by looking at the name. You trust an electrician. Hopefully, they do the right job. So it was a combination of the circuit breaker, but also the thing about energy. And I'm not an electrician, so please butcher me as much as you want when I try and explain this. But the thing about energy is that things can be rated for a certain amount of energy to go through it. But when the energy goes at that rate 24/7, you have to then factor in a whole other realm of things. Like a lot of plugs, like your socket that you plug into the wall, and the cables, and the cables that actually exist in the wall. Because when you plug that socket into the wall, it's not a magic hole where you just get power. There's wires behind that go back to the central breaker board. You start having to then worry or be at least concerned about, can that wire support a certain amount of amperage 24/7? Because um, electricity generates heat. And so, what had happened in my instance was, although the plug that was placed on the end of the PDU, which is like a power board, it's kind of like a fancy name for saying a big power board that a lot of high power things can plug into. Although the plug on the end was rated for a certain amount of amperage, it wasn't rated for that level of amperage 24/7. And so I quickly learnt that it wasn't, because the plug literally melted. I think I still have the plug somewhere around here to kind of remind myself. Maybe one day I'll like frame it or something. But yeah, the plug wasn't rated for that level of energy, and ultimately, um, Yeah, it was a combination of a perfect storm. If I hadn't have been home that day, my house would have burnt down. But I also always have this really exciting story to talk about. So, yeah, mining is fun because it really once you kind of go beyond just running one GPU and you start dealing with all these little children GPUs, as I call it, or children ASIC, or whatever you want to talk about. There's a lot of other factors that play into it. And so you start learning about lots of other different things, which I think are cool skills. So, yeah, I
Such
don't
a
know if
cool
that did
story,
that.
man.
Yeah.
Like
So,
I just found that really interesting because I didn't realise it was like that extreme. But yeah, like you said, you got an awesome story out of it. So yeah, apologies. I just wanted
yeah.
to dig a little bit more into that. But yeah, please continue.
No, that's fine, man. I think I was pulling like 70 amps of power 24/7 or something around there. And so when you're talking about 240 is what we run in Australia. So you can kind of do the maths and work out kind of how much that was. But it was a room full of GPUs spinning like crazy, outputting a lot of heat, a lot of noise, yeah, the big thing was a lot of energy was being spent to mine Ethereum, which at the time was very profitable, right? And so the reason why I say that was because through the journey of being involved in the ecosystem, Ethereum had always, or at least in the later years of it existing, talked about them phasing out from proof of work to proof of stake. And so essentially what that would mean is the concept of mining would go away, and the support of the network would be done through stakers who have nodes and stake their Ethereum and so on and so forth. It's not important, the thing, but the reason why they say that is that through mining Ethereum, obviously it gave me all the skills of running a farm and all that sort of fun stuff. But when the writing was on the wall about Ethereum, I started looking into different, projects, and I started going down the rabbit hole of looking at what was out there. And because there was this farm of GPUs, and I was like, well, what can I point them at, right? And this was merely from a purely mining perspective. There was no like, oh, I want to support the ultimate layer one that's going to change the entire world. It was like, well, where can I send these miners and I can make some coin and we can all profit, right? So I went on the journey, and at the time, towards the end of the last bull run, or yeah, sort of towards the end, there was a couple of really interesting proof of work based projects that all seemingly came out like not at the same time, but I would say in the same year, at least. And I went through the process of mining all the original ones that had been around forever, like I don't know, Flux and Raven Coin and all those other sort of projects that are proof of work, and they were fun. They all had their different pros and their cons. And from a mining perspective, like for example, Raven just absolutely slaughtered my GPUs. Like the amount of energy required to run that project, which it is what it is. I'm not going to comment on it, but it just literally made my farm use so much more energy that I just couldn't support. And so, I went through them all. They all had their interesting factors and things that I kind of played around with until the point where I discovered Kaspa. And so Kaspa was discovered through YouTube, through some creators. One creator that I won't say his name because he's had a lot of things to say about Kaspa, for better or for worse. But if you're a miner, you're probably aware of who I'm talking about. But yeah, I found it through his content, and other people of the like who I still to this day consume and enjoy. Was it Red Panda and Red Fox and Seb's mining channel and all the others guys that have really, without them from a GPU mining perspective, we wouldn't have a lot of the interest in mining as it is today. And they start talking about Casper, right, really early on. And I took my farm and I put like one GPU or one rig, right, one 6 GPU rig. And the thing for me was I had a limit on the amount of energy that my farm could consume. And so when I ran an algorithm and it was quite resource light, then it interests me. I was like, wow, so I'm making coin, but I'm not really using that much energy. And so Ethereum was roughly using 130 to 160 watts of electricity on an RTX 3070. And that was like fully dialed in, balls to the walls, overclock, as best as you can get out of that. But when I chucked a rig onto Kaspa, it was like I literally used half the amount of energy to mine it. And it piqued my interest, right? So you had a card that was, using 130 watts, and then you would overclock it on Casper, and you were using literally half of the energy. At the time, though, the coins weren't worth anything. It was purely speculative. Like we're talking early days where no one knew what was going to happen at all. And it piqued my interest because I was like, wow, like this is first of all a coin that is proof of work, right? And I can mine it. But second of all, the energy usage that I have to do to actually use it is just so low, but I'm getting so many coins. And so it piqued my interest from a purely mining perspective, like, wow, we can, speculate here on something because nobody knew what was going to happen or if Ethereum was even going to successfully move to proof of stake. So I started mining it, and I started researching a bit more, and I'd always say this, and it happened in probably different ways, but for me, when it came time for me to kind of move some coins around, because at the time there only really existed the command line wallet, or at least it was the only wallet that I was really familiar with, right? So you type in your commands on this kind of black screen, and you're like, all right, put in the wallet address and where you're going to send it, and make sure that you check it twice, and blah blah blah. And I hit send, and switched over to the other wallet because I was trying to consolidate some of them into one location, and I was like, it's there instantly. And I was like, I don't know, it just kind of blew me away that I was interacting with the network, first of all, without any intermediary, because I was literally, I ran my own node at that point and had my own wallet that was interacting with my node. So, like, first of all, I was like, wow, like I'm literally just interacting with this network without anyone else. But I also just sent this coin from technically from me to me, but it traveled without anyone in the middle, saying what I could or could not do with it. Now, obviously, this existed with Ethereum, but it was like there's always that amount of time that you have to, wait to send, or with Bitcoin, wait for a while to send. And yeah, that concept kind of really piqued my interest. I'm like, wow, like I can mine these coins with not a lot of energy, but then I can also transact them instantaneously. Like, what is going on here? And so became really fascinated by that. Joined the Discord. Found a lot of people that were immensely smarter than I, talking about topics that kind of blew my mind, and I was like, what is this? And for a long time, acted not as a community member, just a consumer. I just was reading things, as most people do. Because I really went with the approach of being primarily anonymous online, right? I came from the days of spending way too much time on forums where your anonymity was, key, right? You don't want to give away your name. Who like that's the last thing I want to do. And yeah, I went through. There's kind of like that meme of it's like I came here for the memes or whatever, but now I am the community or something. You kind of joke around. I started as being I had a question and it was like even funny to even like ask the question. Felt it's like, oh crap, what if I say the wrong thing? So I asked the questions and people responded. It's like, wow, like the actual people that are involved with this project, like not just some guy on the internet, which I am just some guy on the internet, but like some guy on the internet that's actually writing the code for the project that I'm mining with my GPUs and I'm enjoying. So I don't know, the concept kind of blew my mind that I was literally interacting with people that were writing history, right? Because often with a lot of projects like, with Ethereum, you ask a question, and you're gonna see Vitalik in there answering you, maybe in the real early days, but not anymore, right? And so yeah, it blew my mind. Saw the value of, the community that was supporting it, and it really scratched that itch of like a technology point. Because like for me, like yeah, as I said, coming from a technology background, I've always been fascinated by all the elements that go into it, the development side, the networking side, the infrastructure that goes with it, the connection from like the digital world to the real world, and all the bits that come with it, right? And yeah, the rest is kind of history. I went down the rabbit hole, became really fascinated with it, um, spent my time trying to then pass off the knowledge, or at least, some of the knowledge that I'd kind of educated myself with, to others. Became a moderator on the Discord, and really just the focus was really trying to just protect the community, really, because there's so many scammers out there, right? And I was seeing people come in on a daily basis, and people losing their hard-earned cash, right? And so wanted to dedicate my time to that, and it kind of all just flourished from there, the opportunity to go into the real world and then meet people. Like, I'd never forget going to Hong Kong roughly like a year ago, I guess it is now, for the first kind of big Kaspa conference. And it was in Hong Kong at the Web3 festival there, and I was like, oh wow, I'm flying to this other country to meet people that I've never met before, to talk about this thing that was on the depths of the internet. And am I really doing this? And I was going there by myself. It's not like I was like rocking up with friends or something. I was just like, wow, I hope they don't like harvest my organs or something. Um, luckily they didn't. But I'll never forget that, right? And I took it from the digital world into the real world, and met Shy, and met some of these other people that were in the community that had also taken that sort of step. And yeah, the rest is history, right? It's like you meet these people out there, you realize on the other end of the computer, there's real people there with real feelings and emotions and passions. And I don't know, the point where I saw beyond just kind of typing up digital messages online, and actually connecting with real people, really just kind of lit a fire under me. And yeah, it's Casper has kind of taken over all aspects of my life, from learning about it, to sharing it, to trying to create content for it, to everything. So yeah, I don't know, long-winded story. I suppose the essence of it is that I look back on my sort of humble interactions with Bitcoin, and I took it for granted. Right? I took for granted the amazing technology that it was at the time, which it still arguably is. It has set the trajectory of where we all are going. There's no doubt about that. But I sort of threw it aside. And so, when I reflect on that and I look at Casper, I say, well, I'm not gonna do that twice. All right. I'm not gonna just throw it away and move on with my life. I'm gonna give this the attention that it deserves, and go on this journey, see where it see where it ends up. So yeah, it's been fun.
But
So
what a
yeah,
journey what a journey it is as well, because like really we've only just got started, and like you said, you sort of you sort of stumbled across it and then started learning about it and then getting really into it. And like again, this is all like online stuff. And then you start going to these conferences, and like it obviously did light a fire under you, because you've been to so many different events now and conferences, um, representing Casper. It's unbelievable, honestly, and it must be such a buzz as well going to these things now. Um, yeah, like what conference would you say is your favourite you've been to so far?
I mean, look, I always have to bring it back to that first interaction, really. I mean, it may not have been the best conference if I'm talking about, all of the elements that you would look at a conference and judge it on. But having that first experience at the Web3 festival, I think it's called. It's not about the conference; it was about the people that were at the conference, right? And so, if I had to answer your question, I suppose that was probably the best because that was I attended that, and from the moment that I literally walked up the stairs, walked around trying to find the booth, until I literally saw off into the distance. I saw Chad's head there with a giant Casper shirt on, and I saw him, and I was like, I think I'm in the right place. And then surrounding him was about like 20 or 30 different people. You had all these different people, like Bitmo was there, and like Bitmo doesn't speak a lot of English, so he was just like enamored by trying to speak to me in English, and I was trying to speak to him in not Japanese, but maybe with a translator. And like I literally arrived, and all of these people started showering me with Casper merch. Like, we had a massive, massive turnout from some of the supporters from Taiwan. Um, and some of the other fans, local and in mainland, who basically created their own merch and just rocked up. And within 5 minutes, I was wearing a Casper shirt with a Casper hat. Someone gave me a Casper flag. And a whole host of different merchandise that they literally like made themselves. At this point, no one was making merch. It was literally just some people that were passionate about it, and it was like, this is amazing. Like, conferences may not be, the answer or a necessity to community building because, arguably after attending a lot of them, I do see where it ends up being kind of like a traveling roadshow where you see the same people in different countries. But the ability to connect with those who aren't a part of that, who choose to attend or choose not to attend and maybe attend like a meetup or something afterwards, where you get the ability to kind of connect with them. It's insane. Like I still, it blows my mind. The people that I've met through these types of events, I still converse with on a daily basis, and I consider my friends that I've been able to kind of connect with. So, maybe conferences aren't the answer to everything, and certainly they do have their shortcomings with some of the ways that some of them operate. But I would see it more as a concept of having meetups or events or just connecting with people offline, which really, really, really benefit the community. And so a lot of that happens at conferences, whether people like it or not. But just that whole concept is just amazing. So yeah.
I love how just one little thing causes a chain reaction to get you to the point where you are now. So, like for example, you really got into mining. You were mining Ethereum when it was proof of work. You knew
Yeah.
they were going to switch to proof of stake, and just literally that is what took the course of where we are now, where you are like I said, everybody knows you, or a lot of people know you in the Casper community now. And but it's awesome, isn't it? Like that. What a thing to say. And I know you are a humble guy, so you may not see it like that, but you certainly are influential in Casper now, and I'd argue that's a good thing because you want decent people to be influential in Casper, and I find that a lot with the Casper community in general. You do seem to get a lot of decent people in the Casper community, and when they get built up or what for whatever reason they're influential, you're getting the best out of people rather than the worst out of people. But like, just what an amazing journey you've had really so far, and like I said, it's only just getting started.
100%, man. It feels honestly quite if mind-blowing to think that it was only a year ago that I met a lot of the different people from the community, and to the point where I went from um went from just literally knowing nobody to literally going on a road trip with Shy across Ireland. And like, what the hell? I went from just literally a guy on the internet to now I'm traveling the world and going on a road trip also with Shy and Ori and Michael, you know, and literally just hanging out with these these people. Yeah, it blows my mind, definitely.
Such a cool journey, man. Listen, I think we're going to wind it down now. I really, really do appreciate certainly the first part of this as well, where you were talking about nodes, and I promise you that was the most amount of questions we've ever had. So it definitely has sparked interest in people, which is just fantastic. And again, just thanks for coming on and speaking about your journey through Kaspa. I've like I said, I've heard the story a few times now, but absolutely love it. So massive thank you to you. Levendi, is there any other business we need to deal with before we do close out?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that we got on our side coming up. I also wanted to say cheers to Luke as well, and you're welcome back to give on stage anytime you want, bro, and give us updates and share your journey with it, man. Really, really looking forward to seeing how it unfolds and how much more I can learn with it. It's been an awesome space and talking with you today, to be honest, and audience loved it. Shows everyone was just rushing to ask questions at the first part, like Chris was saying. So it's really good to see you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, guys.
Awesome. Yeah. So then we've got a few things to say. Firstly, shout out to cryptopumpz, as Chris would say. That was such a pathetic attempt. I'm sorry, bro. I butchered it even more now. But yeah, big shout out to you for going live over on YouTube and covering the show over there. Awesome work, brother. And also, on top of that, we'll be starting a new show at the end of this week. A new blockchain banter show is coming. It will involve us being live on cam over on YouTube, roasting the absolute leaving crap out of people online.
What? You had me until the end there, but yeah. So...
Something about a spit roast live on TV. Like, this isn't OnlyFans.
Whoa, Chris. You went from filling holes in the community to a whole nother level.
Oh, but no, it's genuine. I'm really looking forward to doing this. I think it carries on with the banter theme, doesn't it? So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and I love cryptopumpz setup as well on YouTube. He does a fantastic job over there. If you haven't subscribed to cryptopumpz channel on YouTube, please go and do it, because honestly, it's people like him that they put their heart into this. You know what I mean? He's on a learning journey with all of us, but he does such a fantastic job, and you really want to push these people to the forefront, because they're the ones trying hard for the community. So please go and subscribe to his channel if you haven't already, and you'll learn so much. Luke was on there with him a week or so ago, and again that one went on for a good few hours, but it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So definitely sign
It was a
up.
pleasure to attend as well. Definitely, guys. I just want to mimic exactly what Chris said. Amazing work from creators like cryptopumpz and even you, Chris and Levendi. You guys are, you know, huge supporters of the community, and I just want to also give you guys the props that you deserve as well, right? Having this space, having this time that you spend away from your families, you know, dedicating time to Kaspa. You know, we're all really grateful. So yeah, thanks, guys.
No, I appreciate it, man. I like getting away from my family, so this is why I do it for so long. No, I'm joking. I absolutely love my family to pieces. But no, but I do. I genuinely love doing these spaces. I think they're great, and yeah, it just makes my Monday a little bit better. Cheers a Monday up always. But yeah, Nacho, did you have anything you wanted to say before we go? Actually, any updates?
I don't want to take away from Luke's time at all. It was an amazing story, and it's actually the first time I got the chance to hear the detail of the story. So from the Web3 festival to the fire in in the dedicated mining section of the house, man. Well, thank you for sharing. It was a blast of a space and a lot of fun. I'll make mine really short. I did pin up a tweet on the Jumbotron here. We have been talking about the airdrop of the utility benefits or the perks to Nacho Cats holders that are coming, or they're starting to come out on April 5th. So we decided to run a kind of last minute discount minting event for anyone that wants to get in on there, because we won't do these airdrop perks again. So it was important to us to just give everyone access, make sure that they could collect whatever roles or realms they wanted to. So if you check out the tweet pinned up to the Jumbotron, for 48 hours, we're going to be running a 50% discount, roughly. It's actually a little bit more than 50%, but about 50% discount on minting Nacho NFTs. These are the same NFTs that will have these 4 levels of perks that you see in the X post, and have the discounted fees and voting power and airdrop and all that from ZealotSwap, the first DEX that's coming on smart contracts. So take a look at the tweet, make sure you pop your address in there. We've got like 7 or 8 people from the community that are literally just scanning this tweet and pulling out Kaspa addresses, loading them up in a spreadsheet to make it easy for the whitelist. So you've got about 2.5 days to make sure your address is registered, and then that'll be uploaded to the whitelist, and you'll be able to mint for a little more than half off starting April 3rd. So just take a look at it, keep an eye on it, and thank you guys for the time to shout it out.
Awesome, man. And no problems at all. We always love hearing the Nacho updates, especially when you tease a lot. Don't suppose you've got any teasing left in you today?
There will be one more near-term utility coming for Nacho NFTs, and we intend on starting to talk about it on Thursday of this week. So if that tickles your fancy, Chris, there you got it.
I actually didn't know there was going to be a tease. I was just mucking around. So I'm so glad I did just sort of poke the bear a little bit there. I really appreciate it. And yes, you can tickle my fancy whenever you want, Ashton. That's no problem. But only in the Kitty Cat Club. Right, Levendi, let's move on because we're going to get weird, and I know we are.
Mate,
what else do we have to cover?
I think we've crossed the line of weird today. We started off with backends, moved on to being live with cams on YouTube, and to the Kitty Cat clubs. I don't know what's going on.
Filling holes.
But no, it's been eventful today. It's been awesome. I wanted to also add that next week's episode is another banger. We've got none other than Kaspa up here on stage, and he's going to be diving deep into Casplex for us. So we'll be having another massive learning session. Luke, behave yourself. We'll be having a massive deep diving session into Casplex and learning a lot more about them and what's going on and what's coming out. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I really am looking forward to that. Because we've done actually really well on blockchain banter. We've obviously had Sparkle and Aspect up when they first launched, which is fantastic, and learning all about how they're developing out. Obviously, we've had Igra Labs as well, learning about them. We've had ZealotSwap up to talk about their DeFi, their DeFi protocol that they're putting on as many of these layer 1.5s as possible. And yeah, I really want to dive into Casplex's version of it as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And plus, I haven't really spoken live to Kaspador in ages. We obviously talk in the back end, but yeah, the guy's awesome. He's such a brilliant person for the space. So yeah, it'd be great to catch up with him again as well.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to it. So I think with that said, yeah, I think we're closing out perfectly. It's been a nice, awesome space. Looking forward to the Sunday roast, blockchain banter Sunday roast. Look out for the announcement for that. It's gonna be a great space, podcast, let's say, because it's with cams. No joke, we're gonna be roasting post and what we see on the timeline that we agree with, don't agree with, you know, giving some raw thoughts and having some discussions, you know, aimed light banter, you know how we do. So looking forward to sitting down with the guys and going over things on Sunday. So it's a good night from me. Chris, you know, close us out with anything?
You know I am, baby. Just again, I really, really, really do want to say a massive thank you to you, Luke. Not just for coming on this space, but everything you do in Kaspa. You're an absolute legend in the space. So really appreciate your time, man.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, and it's been a pleasure to attend this space and be a part of the community and answer all the questions and everything. So yeah, it's been fantastic. So thank you guys, and yeah, excited to take part in any future spaces that you'll have me. So yeah, thanks.
Top man, what a legend. And also want to just give a massive shout out to our audience. Again, Blockchain Banter wouldn't be what it is without you guys. Really appreciate you giving up your time to listen to us. And we hope you came for the blockchain but stayed for the banter. With that corny, cheesy sign off, we'll see you all next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.